Good morning, traders. Welcome back to the hot chair, of course. Who's ready to get back after it? I know I have a little bit of a learning lesson. And of course, that's how trading goes, right? It's not always going to be green. And you guys know I've been doing really great. But of course, running into a little bit of the battle with the sizing up. And that's what it's all about, right? Because the truth is, I'm pushing my level. I hope you're pushing your level. Let me know. How's it going in the chat, right? Who's doing great? Who's on the struggle? Because at the end of the day, we're all here to help each other and to push that next level so that we can all get to where we're trying to get to, right? Success, getting paid. Who's getting that payout? I want to see someone in here in the chat start posting, not necessarily just funded account, but paying out, getting that money. That's what we're all here for. So let's get to the action. Let's talk a little bit about today's playbook and see what we can come up with. All right, first up on the playbook, let's take a look at the stock that is Apple, of course. And why am I looking at this? Well, I think this is a perfect day to run this stock. So we'll see what happens with this one today. Of course, I've been looking at the 15-minute chart, and we can even go to the hourly. The hourly is going to be looking like this, right? So we had a one run up. We came back all the way back here towards the 230s, right? Then we ran back up there, started to make a breakout attempt towards that 237, which is that all-time high. Then we ran down actually below that, coming down here towards the 228s. Yesterday, just bouncing around here and kind of going back towards the 230 area. And that's where I'm looking for a recovery. And I promise you guys, I did this before this 8 a.m., 8:15 spike here. So now that we start to get this lift, the level that I gave was look for a 230 recovery going towards the 90 MA 231. So that 231 right around 231.44s. I feel like we can get back up there and then really start making a drive today. So I'm actually looking at also like socks out and things like that. Semiconductor bull action today is definitely on the radar. You can see it also with, of course, play number 2 here as we take a look at AMD, and AMD is going to be looking prime time for me today as I take a look to see if it approaches a trend line break to the upside. It has a really good looking chart today, and this is one that I definitely don't want to miss, guys. 155 already pullback right now looks even interesting for me. I'll be taking a look at this right out the gates. It's hard to get it in the pre-market AMD because there's a tendency of making like these wicks down, but I'm looking at it right now, guys. Take a look at this chart. Take a look how AMD's right now, right off that 155. Looks interesting, but look at this daily chart. Daily chart, it has a nice trend line that it just approached back towards an upside break. Of course, it could break yesterday's low, and you'd want to get the hell out of here. But what I'm really looking for is that high to get broken. That high was 155.19. We're at 154.95. Hit 155.28. Let's reclaim that. Going back to the left, you can see a high here of 156.74. That could be an easy target for the upside, right? I think you have potential to go to 158, 157. Who knows? Maybe we see by Monday AMD's back at 160. So I like these. And I think that you had that kind of right here, a turnaround looking candle, a decent day. I wouldn't say a strong day, but a green day overall. Now let's see if we can get a day 2 type of move, right? A real expansion away from this, as this was kind of more of a red recovery at the end of the day. All right, let's get to the third one here on the playbook as we take a look at the VXX. And the VXX has been getting me a little bit on what? On the upside. And normally I play the upside, but recently I've been actually playing a little bit of that pullback. Now, if I take a look at the daily chart, I can see that we're approaching, of course, kind of more of a tightened triangle, and you guys can see it here. It's definitely kind of really tight. You guys can see it's getting tighter and tighter, and that kind of gives you more of that trend line on the upside and the downside. It's not really symmetrical, but I'm looking at the action here, and I think that we could start to pull back closer towards the 49 spot. So we could get a little bit of a pullback here, but there's still the option, right, of reclaiming Wednesday's high. So I think right now we're kind of in the middle, and we need to be watching this out the gates, right? I honestly, I just want to be playing this because when the VXX is expanded, yes, it's fun to play. And I can tell you guys right now, I've made some really good money on this. I've lost some money too, right? Back and forth action, but majority has been in the green with the VXX. So let's see what happens today. Will it come back for that trend line to break approach here? You guys can see that trend line. I'll draw it a little thicker here. Or will it go ahead and maybe make a little pop rejection? We'll be watching. I'm looking for really a cut down below the 52, going back there, even closer towards 51 today. We'll see if it gets down there. I don't expect 50 right now, but of course, with a big up day in the market, that could very easily be right back down there. All right, let's get out of the VXX and the playbook action. We'll go ahead and go right to the stock market action. I want to go look at the trading action. We'll take a look at some of the Sunrise report. There's really not much out there that's going to be like, let's say, like big moving towards the overall market. I know there's the big news with Capri, which is, of course, kind of a luxury maker, apparel maker, of course, kind of luxury bags and things kind of getting denied. That's not really going to be moving too much. That's for their stocks, right? So it's affecting their stocks. It's a DOJ kind of decision there, and we'll see what happens with that. But let's get right toward the stock trading action. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. Smash the like, guys. I'm ready to get back after it. Let's go see what we can come up with.
Wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What up out there, traders? And trust me, I'm not feeling shy today. Let's go right to the action. Let's take a look at what we can come up with. As I'm seeing right now, the Qs are already lifting here. And it seems like right when I come on, things like to get hot there. 8:36 starts to get hot there. AMD already getting a little lift here off the kind of the pullback. The 155 looking interesting for me there. VXX coming down here already. I'm thinking about maybe taking a short right off the start here with the VXX. It's already dropping. I was looking at it earlier to see if we maybe get a 53 spike, but the way the action is with the Qs and the SPY, it's looking like it's going to run away right now. And there you guys see it already dropping towards the 60s here. So this is the harder decision, right? Do I take the pre-market action here and start to go ahead and short this? Now with the VXX, you got to be a little bit careful right now. The spread's a little wide here. Is that really the spread right now? Yeah, that spread's enormous right there. Not going to be trading that right there. So let's go take a look at AMD and see how AMD is doing. And you can see the Qs already propping up here. I'll show you guys the Qs. The Qs looking like they want 495 and really making a move towards the upside. So you can see the recovery yesterday, and it was a wicked recovery, right? Because it was at the end of the day, right? It was after 1 p.m. when most day traders are gone. They started to bring things back the same way they did it in 3 p.m. at the prior day. So that's how they've been bringing it back. Later in the day rallies and overnight action. Again, overnight action. Again, guys, wins again. So overnight action has been the way to play most of the moves as of late. And I've talked about this, how they're running it in the pre-market. So you might have to start playing things in the pre-market. And that's one of the advantages that you have with, of course, Trade the Pool, right? Look at this run from 494 now to almost 495 on the Qs, which is a pretty nice move on the 15 minutes. You can see multiple attempts to get through that, pulled back to the support, and then reloaded, got that reload here, and then came right back up. So looking strong here. We'll see if AMD takes the move also off that 155.07 already, as it was showing there in 90s. Let's see if it takes it back through that 155. We'll be watching Apple also. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. Hold on, guys. The wife loves to put my chair down. I don't know. I was like, yo, I'm feeling a little short here. All right, guys, let's get to the action. Let's see what happens here with Apple. Will we get the lift there towards the 229.80s, the 229.60s, right? Right there, I'm looking at the hourly. Really the 230s recovery. So Apple on the radar for sure today, guys. AMD, NVIDIA on the radar, but NVIDIA is going to be always the harder one for me. I never play it well, but I'd be watching for recoveries back through that 141.50. What's going on out there, traders? How we doing? It's good to see you guys in the chat. Let's take a look at the action out there. We'll be taking a look. The power of divergence and spotting trend reversals today. We'll be taking a look to see if we get kind of the action right back up on the Qs. That's pretty much what we're getting in a wicked kind of little pullback. Well, we can move right back above the 9. And so you can see how we've done this in the past, right? Where we do undercuts below the 9, but not closes below the 9. And then this was an actual close that looked really ugly, really quick turnaround there on Thursday's action. Now we're right back up. We could approach even coming back there towards the 496 today. So I think that you got to watch out, guys. There's going to be a move here. The only question is, will we go into a little bit of a trend line approach and start to push back towards that level? That could be a move right back up there towards like 497 today on the Qs. SPY action itself also starting to come right back up here. We'll see what happens with some of the major names out there. Let's go ahead. Let's sound that alarm. Let's get things really rolling here. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. Let's talk a little bit about what's on the Sunrise Report. First stock we'll take a look at least, is Colgate Palmolive. This is one that I'm actually taking a look at today, but the earnings weren't that bad at all. I'm wondering why it's down. I think it's down because it's looking like a bullish type of day right now. So Colgate Palmolive, CL, reported strong Q3 results here with a base of EPS of 91 cents, sales of $5.033 billion, both surpassing the estimate. The company also raised its 2024 net sales growth outlook to 3% and 5%, organic sales growth to 7% and 8%, signaling confidence in the sustained demand here. Of course, Colgate Palmolive is a household and personal products. It's not going anywhere, but right now, of course, we are getting kind of the up action in the market, and you're getting that attempt down towards the support. I was wondering if we were going to reclaim. This was actually a good looking move here. And look how it's a wick. Wicks could be tricks though. And that's exactly what it's looking like as it comes right back down to the 97. There's support there, but can it hold today? We'll have to wait and find out. Back through 100, back into that spot, claiming up there towards 102. Yeah, this would be looking great, right? Because then you start to get that trend line approach, you get a close, and all this down action would turn into a big green bar. So keep your eyes on that today. If it goes back through 100, I definitely keep an eye on it. But for right now, it looks more like the downside approach is looking more in Colgate Palmolive. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Dexcom. Do you guys know Dexcom? I think a lot of people know it, of course, and it's your kind of medical device company. It has a lot of different kind of things. Of course, there's like the Dexcom, like kind of patch thing for diabetes, right? I think you guys have probably seen that in kind of the news, and I've even seen ads on it. But they delivered Q3 EPS here, 45 cents, beating a 43-cent estimate, with sales reaching 994.2 million, above the 990.71 million forecast. The company reaffirmed its full year 24 sales guidance of 4 billion and 4.5 billion, indicating a steady growth here in Dexcom. And you can see it's already recovering here, as the first action was to the downside, but look at the quick recovery. So of course we're having a nice bullish day, which is going to help this recovery, but it's almost already back to yesterday's action and could actually go green even above that. So keep your eyes on this one. Dexcom giving a nice little recovery. And what I like about this one is that it has a huge gap to come back up. So on an earnings report like this, where it could have gone for the gap that it had below, right? Like there's this huge move where it made an attempt to, we could have broke that. And what did it do? It undercut that and came back. So that tells me that you could actually be making it an up approach on this stock and trying to maybe do an upfill gap. And that's just based on the rejection of that down move, right? So if we're going to get this move in Dexcom, I think this is one to keep your eyes on. Maybe you stay away from it today. But hey, guys, this is an interesting area right here. Let's see if Dexcom can fill this, right? I'm drawing it as green because that's where I'd see it go up to. We'll see it, man. I mean, that's a nice fill back. Of course, these take usually a long time. Like, let's say UPS's gap took a long time, and look where UPS is now, right? But there you guys have it. Things like this I'd be looking at. Very similar move, undercut right here on this day on that 913 looked like it wanted to break down. Those wicks can be tricks, and all of a sudden it comes back through a resistance, and you're starting to climb right back into the gap. FedEx is another one that we've been keeping our eyes out to see if it's going to go for that gap, right? So now I think you really keep your eyes out for maybe an undercut below this, right? We still haven't gotten the shakedown into that spot. I'd be looking for maybe a little bit of an undercut into that spot, and then finally getting that type of rally where you can really get it right back up there towards the 300. FedEx, one to keep an eye out for. Eventually, I won't mind playing this for a nice swing. It's one to keep an eye out for, guys. All right, what's up out there, team? How we doing in the chat? Let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see you guys. I don't see the chat very much. How we doing out there? Is that Amon Jr.? Man, what's up? How we doing? It's good to see you. It's always good to see some new faces. Looks like from India. Yes. Let's go. Love to see it. We're going to be doing some good trading here. I love to see some new faces. It's definitely good to see it. Jane, how you doing? My week/month has been pretty good. Hey, love to hear that. I know you're in here all the time working hard, Jane, so shout out to you. Congratulations. And like always, let's continue following our golden rules, right? And we need to talk about that, right? We're going to take a moment here before the bell to talk about my disaster day yesterday, because it was a disaster. But hey, like always, guys, there's going to be consistency and you're going to be humbled. I got humbled yesterday. All right, let's keep going. What's up, Turd? I got flushed on yesterday, man. All right, we'll see what else is out there. Tim, I'm holding out for that CL pump for sure. Yeah, I think what you got to look for is that recovery of that level, right? If it can recover that level, that 100 back, it'll look good. But right now, it's just not looking good. And the key here, though, is it could be a growth type of day. And that's the hard part, is that I'm looking at it as a growth type of day. Look at the Qs, though, now running there. AMD up there trying to make the move here. We'll look at Apple here. Does it get to the 230s before the bell? Tesla, of course, what a beast. What a beast. Yesterday, I talked about 250 could be that price level where Tesla could actually go higher. And that's exactly what happened, guys. It was a pretty interesting looking candle. But let's take a look at the action here. I'm going to pull this down here and try to zoom in a little bit so that you guys can see the action there. All right, so right here off of the 250s, it was pulling back there, and you can see how it's just holding. Once it cleared that 250, it definitely held it on a pullback and then just really expanded back there towards the 260s. So Tesla, even though it felt like it was expanded yesterday, that was a pretty good play. I hope somebody was able to nail that one. Eli, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone out there. It's good to see it. Let's go ahead. Keep throwing up those stocks. I'll keep taking a look at some. Maybe it's a smaller name, guys. So, hey, I'll tell you guys, it's not always easy playing those smaller names. I took a beating this morning, guys, and you guys know I don't hide from things. So I tell you guys like it is, guys. Sorry, Jerome Powell calling me. You know how it is, guys. But this morning, oh man, guys, let's talk a little bit about a nasty loss here in the limited account. Took a loss there on SGBX, and this is a small cap. I've been trying to maybe take a little bit of some pre-market trade on this one. This trade was looking great, guys. I got in here at like 187. Tried to get in there, right? I mean, you could see it. I was like right here at the 180s, looking for the pop there. It got back there towards like 187, was looking like it was about to pop there, and then it just dropped on me fast there. So SGBX getting me this morning on the limited account, but it's all good, guys. The fun part is I got the main account. I'm ready to lock and load, trade today, trade big. And that's one thing I notice more and more is that sometimes, you know, I'm trading big, and I'm trying to get towards that 1,000 goal. I might have to bring that goal down and try to nail it in 2 or 3 trades, right? So what I might do start doing is adjusting a little bit, because if I adjust down from that 1,000, right, I can't be losing 500 or 600. I got to go down more closer towards 400 or 300. Then I can take 600 and like maybe $700 on the profit side, right? I'm trying to stay above the 2 to 1 profit loss ratio. And if you guys don't know what the profit to loss ratio is, of course, you guys should look into that because it's all about mathematical advantage. If we're not keeping mathematical advantage, then we're not giving ourselves the ability to at least have probability on our side. This is what majority of traders sometimes just get wrong, right? They just don't know how to stick to a risk to reward profile that works for them, right? Because you got to adjust. Some people like a bigger risk to reward profile. Some people like a tighter one. Some traders even go for a 1-to-1 trade or maybe even lower than that, right? And that's going to be okay, but you just got to be accurate, right? As you go tighter, you're going to need to be more accurate. As you give it wider space, you're going to be needing to be less accurate. For me, I only need to be like 40 to 50% accurate most of the time to get into the green. Why? Because I try to push it closer towards a 2.5 and 3-to-1 outlook. But as I've been increasing size, I've been noticing that I've actually had to tighten that down a little bit. Instead of expanding that, I've actually had to tighten that. And that's one thing that I notice, right? And that's something that I need to work on, right? If I'm going to be going for these trades, I got to make sure at least if I do get to the 2 or 3-to-1 reward, that I'm securing that, because that's another thing that I'm noticing in my action. I've had a couple of times this week where I had $400, $500 that those trades have come back on me. I need to go ahead and secure some profits there and then just rinse and repeat, right? Just if it comes back, well, I'll just buy it again. Use that $500 cushion to go ahead and have a cushion on the day and then take a swing. Well, got to keep getting after it today, guys. We'll see what I come up with today. Of course, yesterday, the VXX hitting me hard. And the big part there, I think, was it was not necessarily the one thing that, I have been, a little bit short on sleep. But another thing, really, what it's all about is understanding that I need to get out, break even, or guarantee some wins. And of course, you guys know I put out on my Twitter all the time some information. If you guys aren't following me, definitely give me a follow. I'll give you guys a link right now that you guys can go ahead and give me a nice little follow here. I'll throw it up in the chat here, guys. This is, of course, MoneyMitch_TTP for Trade the Pool, of course. And what did I put, guys? That yesterday was a kind of humbling day. And here you guys have it. I'll put the tweet right here so you guys don't even have to go anywhere. So yesterday was definitely this type of day, guys, where I got the whacking, right? And it happens, traders. We're all going to get that whacking, right? So we got to understand it, right? And some fight it, some learn, right? It's all about learning, right? And so one of the things that I thought about was I need to make sure that if I get up above the 300 to 400 spot, that I'm at least setting that stop loss near that level and making sure that I'm guaranteeing that money, because that's one thing that I notice. I keep getting into a certain amount, but I'm just not reaching that top profit, right? Am I getting too picky with that top profit? What I need to do is work that stop loss up and make sure that we're taking the green, right? If we need to come in and out, I don't mind. I know that sometimes that's going to go ahead and cut me out of a trade that might go a little bit higher, but that's not what we're here for either. It's not about playing the hero and going for the huge trade. It's just more about trying to make it closer towards the profit target. If we're going to have a good risk to reward profile, we have to hit those profit targets. And it's not about taking maybe halves, because the problem with taking halves, and I've done this in the past, is that you start to ruin your math. Yes, you're taking a half profit, but can you get to the full profit to risk to reward profile that you originally took? This is one thing that I started to realize, that every time I took a half profit, it just didn't make sense. I'd rather just take the stop loss there and take the full position out and then reassess and get back into the trade. But all right, enough of seeing Stewie get whacked there. Of course, guys, you can always check me out on Twitter. I'm always giving some information there to help you guys out, continue moving forward in your trading community, in your trading journey, of course. SMCI right now, I'm looking at that. That's actually looking pretty decent as that starts to come back. Qs taking off here, not looking too bad there. Nice 495s now, 495.25s. The only problem is, guys, now we have ourselves what? Pretty much a good run already. So there we have almost a 0.4 run already. So we'll see what happens there, guys. Definitely Q's already getting a good lift to start the day. BXX already starting to cut down there. I was looking at maybe playing this already out the gates. It's looking like it might just drop really fast here out the gates. I'll still look for it. I know yesterday I hesitated out the gates. Want to be ready today. But I'll tell you what, guys. Of course, like always, I like to have a little pinkies up and do a little bit of some guest action, right? We got to have some new traders in here. We got my man Steve coming back in the house. Let's go ahead. Let's bring in, is that Justy Trades or Juicy Trades? Because I'm ready for the juicy.
I can be juicy. What's up?
What's up, Justy Trades? It's Steve in the house. What's going on, guys? Everybody in the chat, say hello. What's up, man? How we doing?
Howdy. I'm doing good. I am excited. I'm just waking up here, but everything's looking nice to me. I don't know. Well, what you got your eye on right now?
Just like the wicked turn that they did on us yesterday, ready to see what happens today, man, because it's been the overnight action, right? Let's be honest, right? Like every time we come in, it's a completely new market, and they're flipping it, right? They're selling like strong closes. They're buying weak closes, right? And then they're just selling it right at the open to us, right? And that's what's happening, really. They're just stuffing it to the day traders a lot of the times. This is when the kind of the institutional traders and the swing traders are making the money, right? What I talk about all the time is there's sometimes where the patterns kind of shift, where the day traders have the advantages, and then there's sometimes where the institutions and the swing trades have the advantage. Right now, that overnight action, yeah. If you just did the opposite of what the market was looking like for the last 3 or 4 days, you killed it every single day. So I think at this point, we look to see if that trend reverses, right? I'm looking to see if maybe we finally get the nice bullish day on a bullish reaction, right? We're getting the bullish reaction. Can it stay bullish today? And I think today could be that day that could lift. I know that seasonality-wise, I will say that on Monday, it is the and I don't know how much you guys believe in statistics, right? Like into the market, but it is the most bullish day of the year, is the 28th, October 28th. So I'm wondering, well, maybe they just do it the one day before and then they stuff it to us on Monday because everybody's looking at the calendar. So I'm looking for maybe a little melt up, and Apple's one of those stocks that I could see it doing. 230, right now I'm looking at it to see if it starts to recover. Look at that candle. Look how it's starting to already look a little bit better on the daily than it was, right? Like this looks ugly. If I put my hand over that green candle, I would be like, oh man, I don't know if I want to buy this chart. But that's usually when you got to look at it to see if it gets that whipsaw momentum back up, right? Because if this candle turns into a big green bar, but like let's say closes towards 235, 236 today, how will you be feeling? Think about it that way, right? And that'll be a little bit different. Now this chart looks like it wants all-time high, and everyone's talking about Apple Intelligence, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing on a lot of the megas right now. They're all looking like launch pads to me, and they're just, to me, these look like where we should be looking for a little dip buy. Yeah. I'm seeing very similar patterns on Apple, Amazon, Google. Those are on my top of my watch list here, but honestly, a lot of things are really good.
Yeah, Google's an interesting one. I've talked about this 170 area for so long. I've just been screaming 170, because when it hits that 170, it's going to be looking really prime time. Of course, it's at 165 right now. You're getting it near the support, and that right shoulder on an inverse head and shoulder off of a pullback looks pretty interesting here. Of course, you can also draw kind of the trend line from this first kind of peak to see if we start to get above that. And that's what I feel we start to run into today. So a move into like 168, 169. Let's see if it takes 170 even today. It's available to it. And that's why I'm looking at momentum names like AMD, right? I don't like AMD, but I see this, right? Downside, downside, downside. Now whipsaw reversal, opportunity through a trend line. Daily chart has pulled back, right? Has had that kind of whipsaw look. Let's see if we get that move starting to come right back up. Hey, it could be a tech day, man. Soxel also off supports, right? I'm looking at this as potential trade, right? I don't really do too well in Soxel. seems like every time I traded it, I don't do great. But hey, that I can at least see the trade there, at least being something to look at. SMH is another one that I like, right? If you want to trade like ETFs and be in a little bit of a kind of more diversified look, take a look at this, right? You can really start to approach back up here towards this to the 260. You can see that it's held the trend lines down, right? It's held back here and doesn't want to come back towards the 240s. At least it seems like right now. Let's see if it takes the next step up. Any other name on your watch today, Steve? What are you looking at, my friend?
Yeah, let's see. Just going with the chips theme here, I really like MU. I think there's a lot of room on these guys too. Let's see. Is there? Oh, I always forget how to share my screen. I think it's this.
Yeah, the little plus sign, the plus.
All right, we should be cooking it.
No worries. We'll get it going. I'm excited.
So yeah, I think that.
Here you go, brother. I got you up.
Okay, beautiful. All right, excuse the chaotic start. There's only a few things that matter here. And actually, let me just delete all the nonsense. Perfect. Okay, so this is a very similar look on a lot of my charts. This blue line here and this purple line here are very big for me. They kind of represent longer term back to support. So for this daily one, chart, likewise for the weekly, when you get these confluence of different kind of cohorts of traders all trading at the same time, you have people who are like, oh, I trade daily charts, I like this. I trade weekly charts, I like this. And so I think that there's a lot of juice that can get a really nice move on these. We're just looking off of the baseline here just to like, I mean, even just to like the first kind of Bollinger Band area where you might get pullbacks 9-10%. So I think there's some real juice on these. Just to kind of hammer home that same thing, we're getting the confluence of supports right here on Google as well. On AMD, as you were talking about that, I was checking my old lines, and it looks to me like it's kind of flirting with a back test here after breaking out from this nice downtrend line here. Again, right at this core support level on just about everything. For the riskier traders out there, there are a few other things that I'm watching too. So OPRA is looking really appealing to me. Let me pull this out a little bit. So I'm seeing it start to really want to ramp up like this. We have that same kind of core cluster of support. If I turn that off, it's a little cleaner and we can really see what it's trying to do in here, just ramping up on the weekly. So this is one of my top watches here. I'd say the last one, it's really fun, is TKNO. It's more of a swing trade, but this thing has got a ton of room, and it seems like it's finally getting the big accumulative volume to send it back on northwards up from 10 here. So that's what's on my radar here.
I'm going to be watching if my swing trade can come back some. I got Baba on, man. I'm holding to my Baba pants over here. Watching this stock come back at least some today. Needed to get back above the 50% retracement level, which is the 100, right? I got 99.73. I got 240s. I'm going for a bigger trade on this. I'm looking for a 2,000 on the return. We'll see what happens with this, but can Baba start to work its way back? Good tech day could help this, right? I'm looking at FXI, also kind of holding in there. That looks good if it can start to reclaim 33. And so I know I'm not the only trader looking at this China trade, right? Let's just be honest, right? Like, this is kind of more of your kind of bigger swing traders out there. They're all looking at this. This just looks juicy because any positive news from China, and what's not to say we don't wake up one day and like FXI is at 40, right? And that's how China goes, man. That's how China goes. It's like, it's a gap type of trade, right? It's a hold your pants on because you're going to feel some red and then it might just wake up big green. And that's how I feel like this trade will go. I'm going to hold on, guys. Hold on tight, but definitely a crazy trade to look at, guys. And especially for the swing traders out there, keep your eyes on this. A lot of times I don't feel like China moves in the intraday. It's just a gap type of thing. It's like this, where from one day it goes from like 80s and then you wake up the next day, it's at 96. And you're like, whoa, it's up 10, 12 bucks for like overnight. I mean, yeah, that's exactly how this will probably go. So we'll see what happens with this. If it can start to approach, what would tell me the strength is back above 105, right? That's where really we start to actually go back into that little gap zone where you got a down gap, right? Fill this first gap in here. And then I'll start looking, Now I feel like I have more control, and the stock, could make that 120 approach. JD is another one. They're all very similar charts, right? And I think that this one's holding a little bit higher up. You see 38.2% versus 50%. So this one's holding up a little bit better. PDD is at the 61.8, just sitting there right around that 120. So maybe an undercut between 120, and then this one starts to work back. This is the best of breed right now in China. But I mean, you know how that is, right? Best of breed in China. I mean, it's more if you got the government on your side, but PDD does. And for right now, we'll see what happens there. Of course, PDD is like your Temu for traders that don't know what PDD is, right? Some people will be like, what the hell is PDD Holdings?
Don't worry about it.
That's Temu. That's Temu. If you see, your kids shopping on Temu and giving their data to China, well, that there you go. You got it. UPXI. Ooh. Nice mention. I know my man Shane wouldn't lie to me. So if he says something's hot, I'm going to go take a look here. Shane in the chat, bring it in here. UPXI. What happened with UPXI, guys? This thing just went absolute berserk. And of course, when does it go berserk? Right after, I'm online, right? 8:43, because that's what it's all about here, guys. But we'll see what happens here. UPXI taking off, guys, in just about 25 minutes, 202%. This looks like a fun short here. Let's see what happens, guys.
I'm seeing something interesting on this one too. There's been kind of rumblings of a squeeze on this one. I can see over the past few days. It's been trying to do this overnight. So what it just did this morning, it's really interesting. It also gapped up 350% on last Thursday. So it's been looking for some action here. What it did is it's just squeezed up and tagged the high side of this wick from last Thursday. So it just swept that liquidity. I'd be really curious to see if it wants to come back up and try to push higher. If so, it may really be in squeeze down. But if it can't, then that might have been the mission, right? It might have ran up to grab those stops, and you have a really nice short on your hands.
Yeah, my idea is this thing has a little bit more gas, not much, but somewhere in between here, it's gonna kind of hang out, and so it could still have that 1228 next level for us to see at here. Why am I looking at that? Is that a lot of times I look for patterns, and this is more on like Dow theory, like wave theory, looking into like that mentality. I always look for 4 waves, right? This is like a 3-wave pattern. I drew the pullback really quickly to show you that, right? And it's a similar trend, right? I've talked about this, especially recently, right? When we see a repeated pattern, it's something to look for. So I know this doesn't look exactly the same, but just take a look at it this way, right? I'll zoom in so you guys can really see it. This looks like what? Okay, like a high, tight, kind of flag pattern. You're getting that nice little pullback there, right? That nice pendant pattern there. You're getting that trend line. Same thing happens just a little bit later, right? It breaks up. Same thing happens. High, tight, tight, tight. Then the break to the upside. Now you're high, tight, tight, tight. And what do? You go for a support test. So now you're going to test back into this area. So you're going to try to test back into this area and try to find some rebuyers into that area. We'll see if it finds some buyers into that area. That's slightly right below 10. And right now you're into that area. You could get a little wick here to 950s. I'm wondering here if you see some big orders flow through, and how I would look for that is I always filter out my time and sales. This is a little secret trick I can tell us for traders out there. Definitely look into something like this. Is looking into getting into more of your time and sales, and understanding that, there's algorithmic volume in time and sales. And it's like your 100 volumes going through, and maybe that's traders just like us too. But what I care about is the big orders. So filtering that out is so important to me. And I filter out right here, just basic, just 999. So anything that over 1,000 shares is going to at least pop up here. If it's not 1,000 shares, I could care less. What this does is it helps me look for a big order, right? Because what happens is that a lot of times the time and sales flows so fast that you don't even catch the big order. It just flows through it, and it's just like, and you're just like, what? Like, what the hell just happened? Well, yeah, there was a big order there. You just missed it, right? And so another thing is making colors on these orders for something that's big, like let's say 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 shares, right? If you're seeing 20,000 shares, 40,000 shares go through on one trade, that's important to look at, right? That's kind of more of your block orders getting filled and things like that you got to catch that could give you a good insight. There's that move down. That's why I felt the VWAP material here was like a good 9 pullback here, right? And that off that 10, you're already getting that 9 move. We'll see how it bounces out the gates here off of 9. 9 is going to be an important level here for the VWAP to hold and see as the recovery comes in. Look at that 905 right there. It comes right to it. Let's see it. Let's see it, team. This one's going to be interesting. Even right here in the pre-market, you can see the liquidity there. Now you're starting to get a little bit bigger size coming in there. I saw a 3,000 share order at 910. What is he looking at? That $9 spot, right? So we'll see what happens here, guys. This is how you can look into the chat. Not look into the chat, the time and sales, and kind of think like the psychology of where traders are going, right? If you see a big order there, what is he thinking? Probably a buy off of $9, right? He's trying to risk off of that area. We'll see what happens here. See if it starts to come back there towards 10.
As you speak, yeah. I'm seeing that nice bounce coming in. Bollinger Bands are getting tight here too, so I think you're right. There's still juice for the next move here, as long as it can hold this support, like you're saying.
I like the undercut of the 893. So you got an undercut there, right? So undercuts are really nice to look for. What you got to really understand here, and I think that's important to teach traders that like these smaller names, is, okay, if this wipes out, where's the next resistance that could act as support? It's 820. So understanding that as your risk, right? Because the truth is that you could get that in a quick candle here.
Yeah, so, it looks like it wants 750 right now to me, that main kind of base. If you look at the volume profile, it kind of took the top side. Now it's going for the bottom side there.
Yeah,
and that's also the 50%. The 50% leg here.
Yeah, and you start to look at the 15-minute support, and that's going back into that level, right? And so we'll see right now to see if we start to get a whipsaw. This is the difference between trading in the 1 minute and the bigger time frames, right? The 1 minute traders are getting washed on right now. The bigger time frame traders are like, come down to me, Papa. Come down. I'm ready.
Right. Yeah, for me, this is like my wheelhouse here. 15-minute candles.
Okay.
Freaked out, you know. I can just let it cook a little bit. When it loses, I'll know.
Oh, I'd love to hear that, Steve. I don't know if that is sexy, but to me, that's sexy, man.
It's sexy to me. Let me tell you.
You talk about those 15-minute candles, man. That's sexy, baby.
Making money's sexy. However you do it, my friend.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's see if I can bounce back today. I had a tough day yesterday, Steve. I don't know if you noticed, but maybe it was because you didn't come on, man. It was all your fault, Steve.
Dude, we were struggling alone. It was. It wasn't just you. I blame the markets. It couldn't be us.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one, man. Can Tesla still run today? Yeah, Kevin. But the key is you gotta hold the momentum, right? The volume has to keep coming in. It has to be. It takes more, let's say, to keep running Tesla today than to run something off support, right? But of course, now you got a trend. So the trend's your friend now, right? But the key that you could have today is an inside type of day, right, on Tesla. And I think that you had a big push yesterday. So I think you got to watch it, right? I personally don't like trading stocks like that are just way too far. And kind of, it's just been too much of a move too fast, right? And so at this point, it's almost a 20% move in Tesla. And what you got to do is you got to look in history. When has Tesla ever made a 20% move higher and then continued going, right? That kind of thing you want to be looking at. The only gap that I can see on the charts around here that are like kind of really massive like that, maybe this gap is a decent size, but even then, it's not even that much, right? You're talking 270 here was like maybe, let's say, you had a 8% gap, right? And then it did make a move attempt the next day through the high and then started to pull back into that gap. That's what I'm concerned about. If it starts to pull back into that gap, that's where you start to get some traders that get washed on. And you know how the market loves to do this one thing. And this is a line that was told to me that I always remember. And I ask myself, what is the pain trade here? And where can the market hurt the most here? Is it the bulls or is it the bears?
I just want to say I love the pain trade with Tesla in particular. I don't know if it's just like my bubble, but my friends hate Tesla. They really hate it. So for me, the pain trade honestly could just be face rip up. You got this really nice base. It's been knocking on this 265.
I can't disagree, man, because I move back and forth. I get like for me, it's I'm a whipsaw in Tesla. I get extremely bullish. I get extremely bearish on it.
Oh yeah.
And the key here is that you're always getting these like headlines with Tesla, right? Like it's just like the other day they were like, oh no, but we hate the robo-taxi event. This is why it's going down back to 100. And then now they're just like, oh no, but did you see the earnings?
Right. It's like, okay, I don't know if Tesla moves as much off fundamentals as everybody is pricing in here. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I just watched the options flow a lot on this one. I saw a lot of 265 calls for. Let me actually double check. They might have been for next week, but I think they were for this week. But what I'll be watching for those is I just checked, and it's about split between lean ask and lean bid on those contracts yesterday. So it's kind of an even distribution in terms of it's not like just one side is just pounding them, trying to squeeze it, or selling a bunch trying to cap it. If we start seeing the flow lean one way or the other, then influence my takes. If I see more of those 265 calls in and price goes down, then I'm going to say, oh, those are sells.
Oh, UPX high, guys. UPX high. It's that 9 recovery was juicy.
Oh, nice.
Let's see if we can get a quick dip here. So I'm looking for a red candle to come back into like kind of a wick here, but the close to come back towards that 920. And I don't mind going in like 920s here, but this could take off really quickly through that 10, be right back towards like 12 by the gates here. So this is going to be one that's definitely watched. I think that you kind of keep an eye out for it. Definitely the volume is still there, right? The volume is trading at least it's pretty thick. Looking for that kind of volume expansion out the gates here, and it has that potential. This looks like one of those kind of warrior trading stocks. Let's just say that much.
It looks like a juicer here. I really thought it was going for that volume shelf, and when it said no way, Jose, and just caught on the cash session high. I mean, it's game on. I think.
Game on. I'll tell you what's game on here. Let's bring in my man Tim in the house. I gotta switch this up. I think I just knocked Steve off there. It was like, yeah, you got
we need a three-way layout. That's fine.
I'll fix it. You guys know I'll fix it.
No worries.
Give me 1 second here.
How you doing,
Just
Tim?
loving that classic morning pop there. What even at Upexi technology sector? Is this one of those that I think the top one that still one of my penny type situations was the what was it? It escapes me now, but yeah, it was like COVID masks and tests and also pro wrestling. It was like a reverse merger type situation. So
that's what we need.
Always more wrestling, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some more WWE. The Rock needs to come back. The real Rock.
Please. Yep. Yo, Tim, I got you. Data and aggregation, accelerating Amazon and e-commerce businesses by combining consumer data and
all right. Money Mitch at work here. Also producer Mitch at work here. There we go, baby. We're in the house. Boom.
We're back.
Let's go. And look at UPXI. Said we'll do it. We'll do it for you guys. Let's do it. All right, 9-10. I'm gonna try to get a first entry here. All right, 9-10s are out there. I'm willing to go a little bit higher, but
so I'm just putting my morning BioPharm watch list back together. I'm watching Hood.
We failed, baby. We failed.
Is it shaking us? We got 4 minutes for the
We
volume.
in, baby. We in. Let's go. 950 recovers. I'm adding. All right, we're hitting that 9s right now. Really not going to let it go through that low. 860s could tap there, but really looking for the VWAP to hold now, right? Because at this point, the VWAP should hold, and we should take out that high 10. So if it comes back to 950, I'm ready to add on that. Then look to see if it really wants to break out.
How would you feel if it dipped into the pocket of like let's call 750 to 775 at open here.
To me, I would be like it'd be a let go for me because I'm in the trade here, right? And then I'd be looking for it to recover. On that point, if it's back down to that one, I'd be in the bigger time frame. So looking for recovery on that. You'd have to start looking for like kind of a trend line pattern coming back through 850s on that one, right? So once it starts to come back on like kind of trend line approach, that's what I'd be looking at.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh man,
Yeah,
and
these
speaking of those
so
classic
fast, they're not
names, good.
Oh,
You got a classic name? Come on.
Oh, just Actinium, ATNM, Actinium Pharmaceuticals. So I'm not seeing why, but they popped 8%.
Share your screen and show me it, man.
Yeah, I'm making the watch list first. I'm not trusting not to bog down, but I'm gonna try a crazy producer trick myself. I have an idea to keep. Although maybe I shouldn't try this because if it works, I will not have an excuse to buy more streaming and trading hardware at Micro Center tomorrow, where I am doing you can check my Rumble channel and also our Discord, where I will be sort of live sharing that visit. So if you got any hardware you want me to check out while I'm there, let me know. But
Jag, I like to mention here, we'll be watching for a VIX run in the next week. All right, we'll look for it. We'll see what we get today. Deckers, of course, had some good earnings. Of course, you're talking some outdoor shoes, right? That's doing well. We'll see if Nike can make a move on that. So that's a name definitely to keep an eye out. Okay, so the Qs just wanted to run all the way into the market open here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a little pullback. But look at the VXX now taking a hit already. Talked about how that could be maybe a potential move right out the gates. It's getting hit at 929, right? That's how they love to do it to you. So watching that right now.
Yeah, we've also
gotta be careful here out the gates here. I'll let you guys focus in here out the gates. Maybe Tim, you can call the overall market. I'm going to focus in on UPXI.
Oh shoot, I'm still trying to catch up on my watch list, but we'll see what we can do.
I got 30
seconds.
He's got the patter down. I trust him and you for the patter. I'm more of
we're ready to rock and roll, team.
This morning,
you know what time it is, guys.
And Purple Biotech also up for no apparent reason, so could be a fun day.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, get ready, ready to rock and roll. 1 second, it's time. Oh, I think I was on point that time. Let's go. There's that WWE bell. I'm focused in here, watching UPXI. Got to understand risk here. Ooh, that's a halt. That's a halt on the way up. Let's go. Sound that alarm. Let's go.
What was that? Was that 20 seconds into the open, or was that just 15 before it locked you out?
Wasting no time.
Coming in like John Cena today.
Love it. Spy is juicing out of the top of the highs here.
The worst part is I tried to get ready for the ad and it was so fast I couldn't even add.
Now, were you saying did I hear you saying you're a little short on sleep, Mitch? Are you like a little punchy today? You get that punchy?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm on that. You know when you just start like you're on that sleep deprived and you start just tripping out. Let's just do it. That's caffeine, baby. That's what caffeine's for. Oh man, this was gonna be interesting, guys. Where's this gonna open at? Tesla ripping 258.
Boom. I think those 265s want to get paid.
You know what's a monster move lately, guys? Have you guys seen the move in Ion Q?
Oh, insane, right?
That was absolute monster move, guys. Absolute monster on the daily. I'm looking at that. Eventually, I might look for the short on that, but look at the strength on that bad boy. This is a quantum computing play, guys. I've talked to the owner here multiple times. This is kind of like your AI future play, right? I mean, quantum computing is still a ways out, but man, look at that. Look at the strength on that bad boy.
Holy NVIDIA. What?
NVIDIA? Strong?
Oh, man.
Strength is in the market, man. I'm going.
All right, now I know.
Ooh, remember I talked about AMD potential momentum? 155 recovery. We're at 156, looking strong. Q's out the gate, strong, guys. VIX VIX down she goes.
Now I know Justy will appreciate this. Why is Target also convergent? And ARM just popped above it, but remember that 140, 141 level I kept mentioning on Target? So now we've got we got Nvidia now split, and now there it is, same key level. There's something about that
daily
number.
Looks interesting on that, man. This looks to me like institutional buying right now in this area right here. So when I see these kind of like bottomings, especially off of a gap like this came down, filled the gap, gave you opportunities to get in how many times, right? So a lot of times that starts to create kind of that hard bottom effect. Could be coming back towards the resistance on the daily. Could at least see maybe this approach back towards like 158. Target looking pretty decent for you, my friend. I know you're going to feel good about that.
Oh, I haven't even checked that one out yet. I'm just getting my for whatever reason. I love using Moomoo for that overview screen, but for whatever reason, right at the open, it bogs down and kind of wow. Market as a whole is like Disney.
Yeah, are we on the melt up, guys? Look at deer on the radar lately. I've been looking for the move to 420. We're making a good move today, guys. It looks like a strong day out the gates here, guys. Strong day. I haven't taken another trade. I'm about to. Coin clean spark on the radar, of course. Yesterday didn't have the best day, but I think we could get another day like that if these can recover on today. I'll be watching them. UPXI should be opening up soon, guys. I'm going to go focus on that. But, hey, you guys call the market overall. If you guys are seeing anything, go ahead and take the wheels.
Let's see.
It's going to be fun.
I'm keeping an eye on SoFi. It popped up overnight. It looks like it wants to break out and continue there. I'm watching this opening range here. I closed my DGen weeklies, but I want to buy more for next week. So gonna keep an eye on that. Looks like SPY, so they push the top side. It looks bullish to me, but I could see a little pullback into this opening range here before we make a decision. And in theory, if we do pop out the bottom here, we could see an inside day. Let me check bigger picture here. We could fill the gap back down to 580 in theory. I would like to see a strong weekly close though, so hopefully we hold that opening range.
All right, looking for 52.25s on the way back up for the VXX to get short on that. I'll be watching that. I'm also watching UPXI. Just looking to maybe short the VXX on what I call a VWAP fade, so shorting off the VWAP after an attempt to expansion down. Look at Tesla, 261 now. It's on that stuff it to the bears. Remember, Steve, the pain?
Oh, yeah. Gotta be.
The pain's right now. If you were short Tesla, well, goodbye to you.
Boom. Yeah, so that 265, those calls look like the play.
Yeah, man.
Looked like the play.
Speaking of Moomoo, I am checking out Futu, and it is looking strong this morning. Robinhood, meanwhile, Hood is trying to push down off the open. Strikes me as fake. Coin looking a little weaker too. So I'm going to go back into that Hood coin spread, I think. Long Hood, short coin. But Futu is just looking strong to me this morning. If it can hold this this push up here, we'll see.
Nice day to start it off today. Let's go look at Apple. Apple 231, and talked about the 230 recovery. That could have a good day there, guys. Daily candle looking great, guys. So if there's one name I missed today out the gates because I was in UPXI, it's that one. So I'm watching for any pullback in Apple right here. Pullback, especially back towards like 229.50s. Oh, holler at me. I want Apple.
Yeah, we got that. I got big support at 229.50ish, right where you're calling it.
Yeah, that's like prime time. That's like, give it to me. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's coming for you.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm like, all right, come to it. Let's go. 229.50.
I'm gonna get into SoFi here. It's doing the thing.
SoFi, I like the idea. SoFi's been on the alert for a lot of retail traders out there. I've been watching it since 10, but man, that thing just slow mover for me. It's more secure though. You don't got so much downside action on that one. I like the cup and handle pattern on the hourly. If you include yesterday's action, a nice cup and handle, at least that's the way I see it. I don't know if you see that, Steve, but I'll show you what I see right there. So you see the cup action right here.
Oh, yep.
Now holding that pullback. So I like the cup and handle, especially above 1123s today. So if it can hold that now, looking really good.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, it's got some room up to the next target if it can hold right here, which it seems like it's doing.
Apple pulled back there nowhere near as much as I wanted it to. It didn't even get to VWAP. So this looks like kind of more of that melt up type of day. I might have to step up here if I want Apple. So where I'd want it is definitely closer towards the 230s, right? So I'm looking at least 230s on pullback, but it might not do it, man. It might be that 9 EMA type of day where it's holding a 9 EMA. It just did an undercut underneath it, trying to recover it. So that's what I'm looking at on Apple right now. Sometimes it does this like just momentum move type of day where it's just going to hold the 9 and not even come back to the VWAP, which is a hard play, right? Because then now you're kind of reaching, or at least you feel like you're reaching. SPY looking good for another upside, holding the 9 also there. We'll look to see if we get some type of down attempt there, and I'm looking for it because I want to short the VIX here.
Now this ANIP looks interesting. Final FDA approval for its ANDA has launched. I'm guessing this is an estrogen gel. Anyway, it's up 2%. If that initial wick is good, then we could reclaim that, but nowhere near the volume threshold for trade the pool. 6,000 shares traded total this morning. So,
man, that stock is popping, man.
Oh yeah,
that stock is it's telling
in
everybody
IBRX
about it.
Dosed its first patients in its phase 1 clinical study. CAR NK cell therapy for relapsed B-cell non-Hodgkin lymphoma. So I know what those words mean, except for CAR NK, but I have no idea what this means overall, other than they're curing cancer, guys. So, and so far we are up 24%, just to 525. So looks like that is carrying on. 5 million shares on that one traded so far today.
All right, guys, looking for a little bit more on the VIX, but I don't want to miss it. It just came to VWAP and kind of rejected there. So I'm getting a starter on the short 52, looking to see if the Qs and the Apple is going to just continue rocking and rolling. So if I can't get Apple on the pullback, it's fine. But I can see Apple and the strength that it has right now. And the Qs big bar up, not much on the pullback here. So let's see what happens. A lot of sizing also came in on that VIX. So that's another sign for me that, hey, you might not get the opportunity to go back there, right? And so I just at least took 500. Normally my starter size in the VIX is 1,000, but I was like, it's like, don't push it here. Maybe just take at least half the size. And I can, if I get a little bit towards the 20s, I can just add there and then average in around the 15s to 10s, right? So we'll see what happens now. Does it just do a takedown? And that's because the Qs and the SPY are just on kind of more melt up mode, and don't pull back to the VWAP. That's another sign for me. A lot of times when we have really strong index moves, it doesn't even come back into this area, right? Like you just start avoiding that dotted line that you see on my screen. Same thing for the Qs. So I wouldn't even want it to come close to that line if we're going to have like just melt up type of day. Ooh, look at UPXI.
Whoa, there you go.
Oh, there we go, guys. There we go. Beautiful. There we go. What is going on, traders? What is going on? I'm sleep deprived. What's going on?
Looks like 1212 is up next. If it can close a minute candle above the high of the market.
That lasted, I think, literally a millisecond. Like, I didn't even have a chance to think about adding. I would love to add, but I can't add if it don't let me.
What a move. Boom.
Guys, I'm up 838 in like what this market, at least UPXI has only been open for like 2 seconds. Somebody got a nice order in there though. Somebody got, oh no, that's on the VXX. Let me go look at UPXI's time and sales. Did anything even flow through there? Like, holy moly. This is up at the highs already. So that's another thing, right? Now, where is it going? 1228 was like my smaller measurement. Let's go back and let's take a look at where UPXI has been in the past. This looks like it had an insane split, a nice 1 for 20. So let's see if it can get towards like something extreme. On the weekly, extreme to me would be like 25. But I mean, by then, you know, would be a pretty big. Let's see what happens here, guys. This is like kind of a strap your boots kind of trade here. What I'm going to do, though, at some point, guys, is just probably put a break-even stop and just let it kind of work at some point. But for right now, we'll see what happens there. Let's go back to the overall market. That's insanity. Be careful out there, traders. And, of course, for certain rules, this is already a no-touch, right? Of course, I do want to mention that. I don't want to be the nanny, the Debbie Downer here, right? But the truth is this is already past our halt rule, right? So if you do want to trade this, what you got to do is it needs to reopen and it needs to go for like at least 1 minute. And then you can start taking a look at that. Did I say that correctly, Tim?
Yes, coming out of a halt. Wait 1 minute, and
SMR.
then you should be good. As long as
SMR. Oh, the NNE is another one to kind of keep an eye out today. Nice little push on that first push on SMR. NNE around the 1950s, trying to recover right now. If we are getting that melt up day, this is a nice one here. NNE, I'm looking at it here. I don't mind it here. We're having a decent day. Might as well have a blast. Let's see what do we get here. Already a nice little push here. I'm looking for a nice little pullback on the 960s, 950s here. Let's see if I can get a nice little 950 move. 1950s. All right, looking for 1950s here, guys, and then I'll add back towards like 1930s here. But let's see if I can get NNE. I'm putting out orders here. I'm trying to trade, guys.
Whoa, that's super cool. So SMR and NNE, they've been wildly decoupled in price for a while, and they've just gravitated towards each other. Now they're both trading the 19 to 20 handles.
Nice. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's like arbitrage type of traders trying to catch this on the pullback, trying to short one, buy one. And I think that I was looking for it even early on Tuesday. I talked about it on Trader TV that these nuclear plays could pull back now. And then you'd be looking for a nice little pullback to support. I'd play these on short and then long. Well, I'm trying the long here. No entry on that pullback there. It didn't even come back to that kind of 9 EMA. So I'm looking for that 9 EMA entry right now.
Yeah, I'm just pulling back on the daily here, and it looks like it's pretty textbook in terms of it cupped, it overshot, it's been flagging for about a week and a half. And if it's a power stock, it's going to just power out of that flag, you know? It's got room.
Yeah. There's a push there. It's expanding, though. The spread's a little wide now. That's one thing I will say. Just be careful with it. It could go like 20 cents, 30 cents. So you got to understand that. But we'll see if I get a 9 EMA pullback or a pullback to this trend line would be the best thing. That'd be 940s or 1940s. VXX going in the green there for me tells me more and more about the melt up situation that at least we're seeing. Apple's still holding that kind of that candle right there off the 231s, just pulled back, but the strength on the candle is still really strong there on Apple today. So I'm watching it, but recovery on Apple shows me the strength there. SPY never came back to the VWAP like we talked about, right? So on melt up days, that's kind of a strong sign to look for, is a no move to the VWAP. So as long as we can not even pull back to the VWAP, we can still take a look for the strength to continue. 9 EMA recovery there is another thing that I see. Look at the VXX now, right? So now I can go for an add and then hold break even on the rest. So that's what I'm going to look here.
Man, SPY and Tesla are juicing right now.
Yeah. This is that kind of really strong melt kind of push up right now.
No doubt.
Yep. And I am looking for Colgate to do that gap fill right up to the close and then some. So
all right, guys, just set a $15 stop there on the VIX. Now 1,000 shares short. Still looking for UPXI to open up. I have an order out to get Apple, but it never even came back. So at this point, I want to cancel that order because that's just like buying power that I'm wasting there, just waiting. NNE, no pullback just yet there. Went to the 1950s. Oof. It did not get that fill there. That would have been a really nice fill here. So looking for maybe 57s, 58s here if I can just get the pullback. Might miss this NNE today, and it's going to be a little frustrating. I've been wanting to trade this one. I will say that. I'm canceling for now. I have a feeling UPXI is about to open up. So I have at least 2 good positions on. 1,000 shares short VXX, UPXI. I have enough on right now. The one thing I am doing, though, is protecting that VIX trade immediately because UPXI is going to be the one to focus on. There's NNE. Pulled back to the 1950, 9 EMA pullback. Like, I didn't get that entry, but it was classic. Textbook right there. 9 EMA is 1951 at that point. You come back to 1947. So definitely gave you that approach to grab it there. We'll see if it takes the next high there, 1980s. Pulling back a little bit, but look at the Qs. The Qs now towards 498. Are we on upside approach? Seems like to me, man. Look at Apple, 231s continuing. NVIDIA. Oh, how's AMD? I know how that bad boy talked about how it could make that move above 155 in the pre-market. It's at 157 already. Nice little $2.26 there for AMD.
Hey, Mitch, how you feeling about precious metals?
Precious metals. Okay, so gold is one that's on the pullback right now. And silver is still kind of hanging in there, but I've been looking for a pullback on silver right now. I think that's the better play. I think gold has had its day in the sun already, so you could still maybe get a little lift on silver, but gold has been having an amazing year. And at some point, you're going to start to see a decline. I think you start to see a weekly trend line approach. So you can see here on the weekly for GOLD, I look for a pullback back towards like 18, especially with this melt up. I don't really see that as being the play right now. And basic materials has had a recent big run, so that could be where you're starting to see pullback. And if I look at what is red today, there's not much. There's not much, guys. There's utilities, financials pulling back a little bit, communications a little bit, and just basic materials is just slightly green. There's some mixed noise in there. There's gold, silver, copper taking big hits. And then you got there on the downside is silver, gold, and specialty chemicals. On the upside is copper, aluminum, paper. So a little bit of mixed noise. Energy is getting a little spike today, leading the market from the open, of course, technology and cyclical names. So that's interesting to see. Cyclicals. Let's see what's up there. Footwear accessories with Deck, right? Talked about how Nike could maybe get a lift on that. How's Nike trading today? Nike's just starting to recover. Deck, let's see that one. It did go red, now going green with the market action. Q's continuing strong, guys. Now the SPY pulling back a little bit, but nice strong move out the gates here.
I am watching silver here for the opening range break here. It broke it, came back down, held it higher, low, and now it's trying to push up again. And I think that if it can, it wants to basically put a bottom in on this flag pattern here. Silver has tons of room if it can turn a corner. It hit this target, but it does have room if it can hold this this big volume that came in on this breakout. So I'm a bull, but it could take a few days here, but it's something I'm watching out for. Definitely think it's the play versus gold though.
All right, guys, waiting for UPXI to open up here. Last time it halted for, let's see here. Was it a 10-minute halt? It was a 10-minute halt. So now are we getting another 10-minute halt? Yes, another 10-minute halt. Should be opening up any moment here. We'll see if we get a 15-minute, and don't expect it, but should be opening up any moment. So I already have like an order box ready here to sell 200 of my 300 shares at 13. Because if I could sell some right there, I don't mind to just hold the rest, break even, just let it go wherever the hell it wants to go today. But it's a monster move already, guys. Let's see if we can get $1,000 and at least take some off here. Whew, this is going to be something else here. All right, starting to see a little bit of a pullback in the overall market here. Looking at the VXX to see if that's going to continue moving. Would love to see that break down towards like the 5160s.
VKTX looks like it's extending its breakout here today too. Had good earnings. Massive base. On the weekly, this thing is just so juiced. I am a big believer in the move to 100 plus on this guy. Just ramping.
Yeah, the Qs are strong, man. Strong move in the Qs today. You got to be careful. I don't know if there's any 10 a.m. numbers. Do you know, Tim? I might have to take a peek just in case.
For which is that
out for us? If there's any 10 a.m. number. It's 9:52. I know that on a day like today, the only thing that could really shake it now, I think like this, would be maybe an ugly 10. Oh, look at that, guys. Look at that. UPXI is going to go for another halt here. Holy moly. 1503. That thing's going to get halted.
Looks like you're still on my screen, by the way. Probably more action on yours right now.
I'll show you guys it. Holy moly, man.
Wow. Fire.
It's halted again, guys. All right, so this is my rule now, right? Now this is the rule. I got to close this after this. 3 halts is the rule, guys. After 3 halts comes the down halt a lot of the time. So as soon as this reopens, I'm going to try to sell it. Now the question is, how fast will I be? I tried to have an order ready there, but man, it took like the 11 minutes. I was watching the VXX there. Holy moly, up to $1,700, almost $2,000. Of course, you guys know this account. This account is the extra buying power. So I kind of have to close it for a $2,000 gain, or I think I can get up to let's look at what the 30% is on the max, right? I mean, want to make sure that I stay within the rules. This is an easy day to cash this in, right? So what I can also do is I've already had a strategy for this, right? So one thing that I can do is add to the position size, which of course on any pullback could lower that amount if it's above the 30%. That's one of the little hidden tricks that I've thought about, right? So if I do see it over my 30%, I might add to it, let it pull back a little bit, and then take the cash, right? Just a little trick there that I'm thinking about, because the idea here is make the money, right? So let's get ready. I'm going to focus on that, guys. I'll let you maybe talk a little bit about what you're seeing out there. What are you seeing, Tim?
Oh, man. Just kind of a mix here. So I got in a little bit later than I had thought on the Fuji there, and boy, it just ripped. IBRX still going strong, and everything else just still puttering around. Seeing if Colgate can hold here. It's really trying to give up this level. So we'll see if that goes on, but still green for the morning, just barely. But
at least it looks like we might bounce back from yesterday's day. Steve, one thing I'll say is I think you and I, for looking for maybe potential melt up day, it's at least looked pretty. It looks at least looked pretty here out the gates. That's for sure.
I'm feeling pretty positive. It's you don't get a start like this and then a complete washout very often. And if you would, it would be happening pretty quick here, I think. So it feels like we're just about in the coast is clear territory for a strong bullish close here on the week. I like it. I'm in. I am looking to get into
Tesla's almost 270 now.
I know. I missed the Tesla, and I just had to look away. It was like, all right.
I know how that is. Don't talk to me. She's dead to me.
Exactly. So yeah, right now I am the plays I'm sitting in the pocket on, waiting for a setup to actually give me an entry. They're just kind of sitting here. The ones that I should have got in on, I missed pretty. Yeah, I'm a little ticked that I missed the VKTX 5 minutes ago when it broke my range here, but always
once to get out of the halt, turd trader, you can. What happened to the audio here? Turd trader, if you can hear me, you can sell to get out of the halt.
Dude, this could have made the limited account in one day, man.
There we go.
For the limited account traders, don't forget you can do 50% on that limited account. There's not many accounts that we give that ability, but you can do 50%. So that's $650-ish dollars I would go up to. Wouldn't push it too much past that, right? It's $1,350, so it's not going to be $700, right? So you can go up to that $650. So I would do like $625 on the limited account in one trade. If it was like a max profit, right? Take that money and run. That's the limited account. You can go up to 50% on that account. That's the only one that you can do that on. The other ones are going to be 30%. So for me, that's 2,300 on the max profit here. I'm going to try to take that 2,300, right? We'll see if we can get it, right? Even when it opens up, it's probably going to be above that. I'm going to try to add, and maybe be careful though, because the down halt could be coming, right? So this is going to be one of the hardest trades that there is. And I mentioned that this is not a beginner trade. I mentioned it way before it. I hope that everybody understood the risks that were involved in this. And if you shorted a puppy like this, well, that's a tough learning lesson too, right? I mean, we all go into that. And the simple fact is whenever you play these, especially a move like this is like what we call a parabolic move. Look at that, reopens. I have a stop loss placed here. Boom, just got hit. All right, I'm out, guys.
Nice.
I'm not dealing with this, guys. As soon as what I did was I put the stop loss, and I'll show you guys it right on my screen here. And I was like, you know what? I wanted to put a target profit out for the 2,300, but the key there was where to put it, right? So as soon as it opened up, I put a stop loss right here at like 1388s. I saw it up there towards like 1460s, but I was like, I'm going to put the stop loss first, because if it comes for the down halt, it's going to hit me and take me out, right? And then I was going to put a target profit like up here, and I was going to look for the 2,300, right? The max that I could do. But the first thing was protection, right? The stop loss helped me there, right? That's the truth. So I used the stop loss there. And what do I talk about? 3 halts. And what happens usually? The down halt. The down halt. There it is. There she is. How fast was that too? And she faked to the upside. That's the worst part. She faked to the upside, right? That's dirty, right? That's dirty, right, Steve?
Not much you can do about that.
You can't.
I mean, you handled it perfectly, I'd say. Protect them gains.
To tell you the truth, the heart was pumping, man. This is when I used to love having. This is when I used to love. There was a time, guys, where I used to trade, and I used to have a heart monitor on me. And I used to just laugh because it would just spike like crazy right now. It'd be like, I'm running.
Dude, I don't care how long you've been doing this. When you unhalt and you're up, what were you up 30% in 10 minutes? That gets the blood pumping.
Oh, for sure, man. That was a crazy move. Look at the trade, guys, today. Look where I got it. 9-10 on that last little pullback.
Oh, not to interrupt, but I'm looking at SLV here. It's very close.
I'm throwing you up, my friend.
All right.
Woof, I got to take a breather on that one. I'm going to be right back, guys. I'm going to get some water. I'll leave the boys here. I'll be right back, all right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, enjoy the win. Take a lap. All right, so we got the range break here. That got me in. Just going to confirm that order. I'm looking now. Boom, there we go. Let me make sure. Okay, cool. I filled. That's the worst feeling when you're sitting there with with an order you're not sure. Okay, yeah. So we got the pop here. I'm looking for a sweet pre-market volume, or I'm sorry, the closing volume from yesterday. Looks like we're getting that. Beautiful. We have a lot of room. I would like to look up above 31. I saw a lot of flow on the 31 strike calls for next week or next Monday. I forget. Either way, it's looking like whenever you see a lot of flow coming in and then the price starts to move that way, I try to look at that as a confirmation of those being buys. Usually if you see the block come in and then it goes the other way, you just got sold on. Somebody sold weeklies, covered calls. Yep. So right now this is working nicely. We're going to pull back a little, totally fine. I'd like to see it hold here. So I would place my stop. Let's go in the 15-minute candle. I would place my hard stop below here, but let's tighten that up. Probably go
Coinbase
right there.
Short was a bad idea. You know why? Because crypto is popping. I think independent of And wow, Nasdaq is popping. Oil
Yeah.
up a little bit. But yeah, I'm just getting. I didn't size the. I guess yeah, it's outsized position wise, so I'm getting just creamed on this coin short, even though Futu is going up nicely, and Hood is just puttering around coin. I'm down $300. Now this is on the ultimate size, but I'm gonna have to just cut this thing if it doesn't. Yeah, let me share my pain here.
That's a heck of a ripper there. See where it's headed. It cleared yesterday's at pre-market and now yesterday's highs, so it's looking like it wants to go up.
Yes, it is.
Oh wow, it's a clean breakout. I'd be careful on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
212 is the last chance, maybe.
Now, what you do is, if you guess wrong, what you do is you double your size when you reverse it every time, right? And eventually,
oh yes, Dr. Martingale.
Yes.
It works supremely until it doesn't. Let's say that.
Now, the thing I don't like is I am 100% long right now, so that's making me a little nervous too. But all right, so Futu, my trailing stop just hit, which means, yeah, if we do hit that resistance right at 212, I'll be supremely annoyed. But I feel like, you know what I don't have on here? I don't have the Hood. Looks like it's good, so that makes me happy.
We got our silver trade working here. It was coiling at pre-market from yesterday. Popped it, going higher. We're going to test this downtrend line, but I don't expect much resistance there. And then we're going to be looking to target up in here for a sell, which would
I'll just throw you back on the. Threw you back on there.
Okay, we're testing the 50% here of this little mini range. And, you know, eventually this wedge is going to want to pop. Feeling good. Tim, what you seeing? Anything else catching your eye here?
Right now I'm just gonna make sure I didn't do something double stupid on here. So yeah, CL unfortunately, excuse me, CL I did decent on so far. Right, well, some of my stops filled, so now I'm down to probably closer to the size I should have done initially, but so I'm down $100 on that trade overall, but the rest is holding there. So we're gonna see. Oh wow, it just rejected, or it just rejected partially here. CL.
Oh, CL.
So yeah, I think that that gap down is probably too obvious as something to try to catch the dip on, and it's probably just gonna keep going down if it loses this level here. In fact, what I might do is just do the might just inverse myself already.
That 98 looked like a pretty tough sell on those two wake ups on the 15 here, and then it just is giving it back now. I'd say it probably goes for that pre-market low at 94.50. Kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
silver getting
so
our.
I think I'm going to see. I'm going to probably just. So what I can do is I can hit CLX CL, and that'll clear the whole thing. And then I can go in with maybe a little bit less insane size. Although this one, I'm used to CL not making this big of a. Look at this right here. So just this morning, actually, the losses here today were just basically that. I was already down a bit in this account, so that's foolish. But yeah, it was basically going by the sort of size that I'm used to doing on a particular stock, and what I need to do is account for it being a big day, right? And so allow for more volatility. allow for a little more range on that. And especially also it's going to be testing those levels. So it's, stop runs are more likely. IBRX at least is going nicely for me. Oh yeah. Coin's pushing again.
We got a range expansion on silver. If anybody tagged along on that, feeling good. But I am, man, all the plays I wanted to take, I kind of missed. I'm feeling bittersweet this morning. What else we got on my list here? How are you feeling about ARK?
Kathy Wood ARK? I don't hear about Kathy Wood anymore. It's crazy. I just never hear about her anymore. I'm realizing this.
I think that's an indicator though, right? I mean, the Kathy divergence.
She's back, baby.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 knocking. You mind if I pop my screen up for a sec?
Yeah, go for it. Are you able to switch it in, or you need me to do that?
I do not think I have permission to do that. I don't think you'd want to give me that.
There you go. Welcome.
There he is. There's my man.
Mitch is the StreamYard master, I think.
I got a chart for you, Mitch. How you feeling about ARK?
ARK.
Mitch is feeling good about everything this morning. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, that is a problem. Right now, I'm not feeling good about the stop out on VXX there. I was a little bit away there. I left the stop there, and they came and hunted me there. That's for sure. So got out on that one, guys. VXX out on that, but you can see it right now. It's about to drop there. It looks good for the drop here. Just got me right here on like the 5190s. Of course, I had 1,000 shares there, and when I went to go get my coffee, I wasn't going to risk some money. I said, you know what? I'd rather just leave the stop there. But it looks like it's about to take out the 73 spot here. So looks pretty good for a little drop, maybe towards closer towards 5160s. It could really go to 51 if the market just continues on the path that it's on. But at some point, I think we're going to get a VWAP pullback, maybe potentially. Apple, though, 232.25, AMD ripping. I mean, it's just an all-out breakout right now. Technology almost up a 4%. The last hour, though, only 0.8. So just keeping that in mind. Looks like UPXI actually did a nice little up move after that. I'll tell you one thing. Don't even talk to me about UPXI anymore. I'm not trading it.
Dead to me.
Yeah, I mean, she's not dead. She's like a good Aunt Sally that just gave me some free money. So,
all right, we want Aunt Sally to keep on doing her thing. That's a good way to put
Aunt
it.
Sally can just keep doing her thing. She can win the lotto if she wants now. It's all good.
We vibing. I think ARK might.
Kevin,
be
I
doing
see
the
you calling out
man.
Futu.
Yeah, nice reversal pattern now.
There, Kevin. I just took profit. On my Futu.
Nice.
And it's looking like, I don't know. I mean, it could keep going up. I think we're seeing strength in retail brokers across the board. But that one there looks like it already kind of had its pop. We'll see if it can hold up there. So I just used trailing stops. It's not like I saw a level there, but right there, I think we have to see that hold.
Tim, refresh my memory. Is Futu Chinese hood, Robinhood? More or less, kind of.
It's
it is. They're so they're well.
I have the pillow.
Maybe now with the Robin Hood Legend, they're on par. But no, they're more like I would say a Chinese Weeble, except Weeble's also Chinese.
Okay.
Trying to get it
Chinese
to show that screen, but it's doing that.
Yeah, Chinese broker. I mean,
yeah.
hey,
So Mumu is their
Mumu.
Futu is their Chinese brand. Mumu is Futu's U.S. brand.
I have a pillow from Mumu. They were nice to me.
Guys, I've been waiting for this entry for quite a while.
I'm saving up points to get the pillow. I want the pillow.
Not to interrupt our pillow talk.
What you got?
All right, so
get us into the sheets.
This is
Futu right here on the screen. That's Futu on my screen.
Everything.
I see it. ARK.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks consolidating against this pivot here. It really wants to pop it. And the 1, 2, 3, the fourth push is almost always good. We like 3, but 4 is a gift. If we're testing a level 4 times, it's that rubber band's close. So what do we got in the pocket here for catalysts? We got Tesla just juicing. That's going to bring up a lot of like the Cathy plays, the Rokus, Hood and Palantir already doing their thing. I was looking at the top 10 holdings and they don't suck anymore. So it's like, I don't know. I think we're seeing a narrative kind of overturning here. If we zoom out a little bit, this is such a wild base. We got the nice cup here, this nice stage 1 forming. I think that we are going to do some Wyckoff shenanigans, something like this.
Pullback coming in right now, guys. I'm seeing a little one. Just want to mention that. Keep it going, though.
No, totally. And that's what actually I would be looking for here. So we're just cooking my big pivot. I'm waiting for a swing trade. So if we close over here, I'm all over it. But at these levels, man, they like to give you the little yeehaw here. So yeah, let's keep an eye on it. But silver's actually
just trim my arm for that same reason here. And IBRX is now down to my entry. So
IonQ starting to look like a short here, but of course not the biggest day to be short, but starting to look like a little bit of a reversal off the 16 level. So those people that are looking at IonQ can see that topping action on that 16. There's been about 3 or 4 attempts through that 16.
And let's be real, it's had its day in the sun here for a little bit, I think. I mean, I love the stock, I love the theme, but it's getting a little extended, I would say.
Yeah, and it's just one of those that like it just makes sense to me on like the daily. The dailies just keep getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. That's not a good sign. You want the expansion candle after a certain amount of time.
Right.
It just makes sense to come back to like 14. I'm not saying it's going back to 10, but 14 seems to be like in play. We'll see what happens there, but not going to be shorting that on such a day that's like bullish, right? So what I'm looking for more is pullbacks to VWAPs, right? Or attempts to VWAPs. If that happens, then I can play in here like Apple back down towards like 230, something like that. But the Qs need to pull back significantly to get to the VWAP. Looking to see what's happened here. Tesla, Lulu leading the action. Intel even making the up move. It just seems like an all-out rally, right? That's what we're seeing out there.
I mean, heck, even silver's
now retailers.
What do you say when silver's working? Where's into?
Now, Kevin, I do like Futu myself. I like their product. I will say that chart is looking weak. It was looking weak to me. I think if it might hold VWAP here. It's trying to, but it's struggling. So, and it's a decent bit above the 200 MA there when I'm zoomed in on the intraday. So, it might catch. I mean, like I said, strength in retail brokers generally, but I don't know. I think I'm staying out of that now. I'm not going to short it, but
yeah, I'm mean. I was thinking about shorting it. I'm mean though, but yeah, at 91 is where I was looking for the short. So on this like bounce back to the 90 MA, starting to undercut the 90 MA. So you saw all here, what was it? Holding 90 MA, holding 90 MA, holding 90 MA, holding 90 MA. Right here is when the trend started to turn, when my man Tim sold it. So give you the shout out.
You're on my screen, I think.
You guys see it? I got lost in the sauce there. Here you go. So if you see Futu, the 90 MA is that light blue line. So you can see right here, it started to cut that. That's when the momentum started to break. Yes, it still can reclaim 90 MA, and that's a strong sign, right? So that's what you're looking for. But in my eyes, now you start to use that. That's where I'd like to get short off of, and then looking for the move back through the VWAP to 90. 90 seems to be like that pullback on the 15 minute. So you can see the 90 MA there. So it's kind of like off the 1 to the 15 minute 90 MA. So it's just a pullback look. Q's trying to hold though, trying to hold this. Can they get to 500 today? 500? Look how we went really close, guys. 499.85. We might want it.
They're teasing. This to me looks like a flag for
now,
that.
I am seeing on retailers, I am seeing weakness here. So speaking of a couple of my favorites, you mentioned Target. Actually just shorted Target here. We'll see about that. Dollar Tree as well. So Dollar Tree I like as a brand. They've just been getting beat up hard lately. Target, I go either way on that. But it's looking today like there's a gap to the downside that's just real tempting there. And if you wanted to hedge that, you could go long on Walmart, which I think is what I'm gonna do because they are looking good again today. So
yeah, I mean, at least this is your attempt to break down that chart at least. So you're in the right area. Let's see if it breaks the 150, 150s. See if it starts to move. Break it down.
150, 150, by the way, that's my weekly trigger here. So that's like a big old level in terms of if it's going to catch, this is going to be your spot. So nice little streamer confluence going on there,
Exactly. You can see it.
I think you're going to get it here. I think it's looking kind of a little weak.
The Q's pulling back going to help it, right? So the Q's starting to pull back here. SPY starting to pull back. It just makes sense now at this point that at least we give like one pullback. I talk about this all the time. So 3 or 4 waves is what we get a lot of the time. So the SPY comes up here once, comes up here twice, comes up here 3 times, pulls back, goes for the 4th, but fails. You get what I mean? Like it's like common wave theory, right? So what that does is that just opens the door for what they call the ABC correction, right? And so that's what you're kind of looking for now is the correction period. Now we're going to the correction period. Does the accumulation come in here where the buyers step up on pullbacks to bring it back up? That's what happens in the market. That's just market structure talk, right? So we'll see what happens here now. And that's why sometimes you'll see me look at those Bollinger Bands. When I see those attempts above the Bollinger Bands, those are those like swings up. Those give me the clear look that, yeah, that's that swing up action, right? And then a lot of times you'll start to get into kind of that 3 wave on the pullbacks. So we got 1 wave, second wave could go for maybe 1 more pullback here. We'll see if we get it back towards like 583 on the SPY. I could still see it holding and not getting to the VWAP, but I could see 583s as being at least an attempted pullback.
Yo, Mitch, I'm curious. Do you mess around with TPO much or like volume profile shapes?
I like it, but the problem with that is that a lot of times I try to use tools that everybody has because I'm trying to show everybody that.
Yeah.
So like I feel like showing volume profile is a good and bad thing. I think it's a lot better for like investment and swing trade mentality. So next week, and this is a really good kind of phase into next week, and Tim could hear this too because he's going to help out. He helps out all the time, help me with the streams and stuff. So we're going to move into kind of like a swing trade week next week and talk a lot swing trading, different strategy, different mentality, how you can maybe look into swing trading. Of course, we have a swing trade program also that you guys can look into. You guys see me take swings all the time, so it'll be fun. Hey, we'll take a look at that action, and a lot of that would be volume profile. So I'll put your screen up here if you want to kind of show that a little bit, so to kind of talk a little bit more about it. And this is actually really interesting to hear because I think traders out there, one of the really cool things to do is instead of worrying about charts on the weekend, it's okay to learn on the weekend. I disagree with looking at charts on the weekend, but I do agree with learning on the weekend, right? So maybe looking up volume profile, how's it work? Can you use it? Things like that. So, hey, show a little bit, Steve. Let them see the ropes.
All right, so let's not get too into the weeds. We'll keep it nice and simple here. These nice nifty little shapes here are basically showing the distribution of volume throughout the day. So when you have it thick down here, that means that more shares were traded in this range. And then when you have it nice, these single prints like this, it's very anemic volume here. So in general, what you'd like to see is you'd like to see a nice P-shaped volume profile for a bullish day. And so as you can see, this volume profile here was definitely more heavily weighted on top. And you saw price kind of rise to this volume node, and then it just wanted to keep going. So that's bullish. Now we have this empty kind of space up here. It kind of mitigated this. Anybody who was long here and just got caught, they just got their out. So I personally am going to be looking for some back testing. Basically, I would like to see some constructiveness in here, and what that would look like is, well, I mean, okay, if we're really bullish, we would see the consolidation up here, and it would build out a P shape like that. And so then this acts as support. Then it pops maybe and back tests off of that. what I think we might see is we might see basically a kind of a retest of this area of support here. So I could see this, and then this builds out into a B, and then it basically loads up what it needs to here and starts making its move back. And then you get this uppercase B here. So I don't know, there's different ways to look at this, but in general, when I see, let me reset that. When I see the weight on the bottom here, it makes me a little hesitant to just to get long up here. I'd be more looking at it like a range day, and maybe it comes back and I get an entry here for more expansion into next week, like you're talking about.
Futu recovering there.
All right, well, good call, Kevin.
Go Kevin. Shout out to Kevin there.
Unless the volume there is Kevin loading up, so.
UPXI, interesting. It's playing around. Be careful out there, guys. I do see the spread tightening up at least. That's one good sign, but the volume in that thing is starting to die off. So that's just a warning sign out there. We'll see what happens. Of course, that's definitely leading the action. What I would look for, does the sympathy move happen? Does something else get the lift, right? Does something else start to just take off? Look at Link. Link was the perfect example. And I didn't see this stock until right now. Of course, I'm not trying to act like, they should have traded this one, but it's more to show you guys that sympathy happens. Look at this thing. This thing was just gapping all around. It's very similar to how the UPXI looks, right? And there's a reason why. I'm pretty sure there was some mention probably out there. You could probably find it on Reddit between these two, linking them, right? Pun intended, link. But UPXI, yeah, very similar kind of gappy, halty type of name there on Link. But let's see if we find another one like that today, right? IBRX doesn't look too bad up to 540s, holding in well on the day, just pulled back to the 520s. We'll see if that goes to 6 today, but just calling out some of the smaller names there. Let's see what's going on in the market. 500, that's what's going on in the market. Look at that.
There's the flag.
And AMD wouldn't have been a bad one to play. Up there, it got to 159. Can you get to 160 today? We were looking at it at 155. That was a good outlook there. Tesla continuing there, 267. Will it get 270 today? Pakar right back up, guys. I should have bought this on the swing. I got Bob on the swing, but I talked about if I could get back to 100, I should have taken this. Looks right back to 107. That right there could have been another $1,000 trade. I bought it here, sold it at 107. I should have rebought it at 100 and sold it right back at 107, right?
I think it's got room. The way it was ramping up like that on the intraday, man, that looked
Deer
hot.
starting to lead the way. Now I'd look for Deer to get to that 420 and the long weekly trend line. So long weekly trend line, nice weekly up there by around the 420s. Been waiting for this move. And the cat get out the hat again and start to push too? That had been leading. Now just did like kind of that undercut and rally type of trade where you get a good volume on an undercut of support. 386 seems to be holding now. We'll look to see what happens there in Caterpillar. Then looking at those industrials, GE also pulled back. You wouldn't want to see this one like big red because it did have an ugly earnings print, but starting to work its way back, right? Lockheed Martin, you want to see that kind of hang on here. That came down in a hurry. That can hold up the XLI, but we'll see what happens there. Hughes is strong, man. What are they?
This is some interesting just market news. I'm seeing that apparently ARCA, so the NYSE ARCA exchange, they're going to be extending trading to 22 hours a day from 1:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. So who knows? I mean, definitely the overnight trading is,
Wow. That is a really impressive news there. Looks like I just lost my overnight
so who knows
hours.
if NASDAQ if NASDAQ follows along.
You'll keep an eye on
might see
NEO
some
here, guys.
increased trade the pool availability.
NEO is testing a very big level at 530. It looks to me like it wants to call a bottom on this here.
NEO.
Oh, it's looking really good. And I'm only looking at it because I saw a bunch of pings on one of my scanners here. So people are loading up 5.5 calls for next week. And I think they're going to hit. Got this
Interesting.
nice big volume here, or big support here, I should say. It basically overshot, and now is back testing this bigger base structure. Let's see if you can see it here. Yeah, this downtrend line here was consolidating, way overshot, came back, consolidating right at the same longer term support. I think it's gonna make its way back up to 6-ish at least, but I don't know. What do you think? I'm an EV bull. It seems like EV and China are two places that I wouldn't want to be shorting. Maybe that's
Yeah,
just me.
not China for sure. Not now.
Not now.
Not now. You're kind of late to the party.
Yeah.
Looking to see if we're gonna get a pullback. Like right now, I'm seeing that attempt to pull back, and right now it just seems to me it makes more sense to play some pullbacks based on risk and return, right? Unless I want to be so tight on the trade. So looking at the action right now to see if we get some pullback or not. Seeing the SPY just holding up there though. It's one of those days where it could just stay up here, right? It's just more of a matter. Does the machines let it stay? That's what I would say.
So we can look for, I mean, pretty soon here in the next, I don't know, I guess as we get closer towards lunchtime here, we can look for the algos to kind of start letting the bid fall out. I think it's a trappy day where like we missed, I mean, I missed, I should say. You didn't. You missed the easy move to 500, right? So now it's like, I think it's going to be kind of muddier just in terms of price action here.
Yeah, now it gets tough. The trade's been made, right? But one thing that we talked about in the pre-market, Steve, that at least worked out was like we saw that overnight action keep reversing, right? We talked about how that overnight action kept moving but reversing, and we were going to look to see if that trend finally changed, and we got an up action on the overnight, and then it actually kept going. That's exactly what happened today, right? Totally. And you're never going to know 100% that this is going to happen, but when you're more situational awareness ready, it's going to help you, right? And that's why I always look at both scenarios. I'm trying to look at how would the bears look, how would the bulls look, not just one side, but that really helps us because in my eyes, I just felt like, okay, the bulls keep getting stuffed. The bulls keep getting stuffed. The bulls keep getting stuffed. A lot of times that happens 3, 4, 5 days, and then all of a sudden whipsaws back, right? Yeah. So you got to be flexible there, and that's our job as a day trader. Our job as a day trader is to be flexible. As a swing trader and position trader, investor, you can be a little bit more, I'll say, stubborn. But as a day trader, you need to be flexible with your mentality in the market, right? Just because you called up yesterday does not mean you have to call up today. I think that's so important for traders to kind of think about, right? And it's so important, right?
No doubt. I mean, one of the things that I just say to myself in the mirror constantly is it's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to stay wrong. You know, you got to
1000%, man.
Got to be flexible. This isn't this isn't a game of ego. You know, if it is, you'll
1000%.
Well, it's tricky though, right? Because you got to be confident. You can't take trades that you don't think will work. But I don't know. I think it's you got to have an ego, but you got to be humble with it too.
Whew. Yeah, I got my humbling yesterday. Trust me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Looking at IonQ potential trade there. I'm looking to see if the market's going to keep going. I need a pullback with the short, right? So looking at the potential short on IonQ for it to come back down. This looks good for a swing trade, to tell you the truth, because the truth is this is more like a daily level look. So the daily level, I'll show you guys this. This looks pretty, right? So you see how it keeps rejecting this 16? This could easily become that like blow off top kind of candle. I always look for these on moves like this that are further extended. Get me through the resistance, make the bulls seem like they got it and stuff it to them, right? So this is exactly that type of play, that strategic outlook. And so the 16 is that level where it keeps trying to break out. But eventually if you fail there, you can make a move to the daily support. So at this point, you keep failing there. 1, 2, 3, right? You've gone there multiple times to break above the 16 on the daily. Eventually that could either a breakout to the upside spot or a breakdown spot. So let's see what happens with this trend line here. It could reject and then really start to break down, or it could get above that line and really break. But in my eyes, with a daily looking like it is, it has more potential for the rejection there.
You know, what I'm seeing on this daily chart is that, so the last time Let's see. It was 2 days ago. When it had that big high wick, it was basically running. If I highlight, it was running the stops of this previous high. So it came up, couldn't make it, came down, popped it, and then rejected again. There was still juice, but as you're saying, there's still these top wicks posting. I'd be really curious to see what it does when it sweeps this level here, this next level high. So I think it's very possible that it runs that, like you're talking about, and that could be where it starts to roll over. There's some kind of gaps here that I think it would like to fill. Plus, there's this big volume, shelf here. So it would be very natural for it to come back to retest the 15 area at the very least. So that'd be kind of my target if you're still in long, and also where I'd be looking to maybe go short.
Hey, wasn't too bad of a play on the playbook action. Apple, AMD, guys, were the playbook today. Really quick review here. I showed it to you guys. Love to always say it like this, because if not, people will be like, what are you talking about? Well, there you go. Apple, AMD, long side. Those were the two views out there that I kind of gave, and not a bad move on Apple and AMD today. Big push there on those two names. So Apple continuing here and holding the 9 EMA. Where will Apple close? I mean, look at this. This is what I talk about sometimes, those like candles where, yeah, this morning you put a hand over that green candle, it looks ugly. But now that you see the candle, doesn't it look like reversal action and things like this? That's what we need to be thinking about as day traders, right? And that's the important thing. Just for today, how can I ride the momentum? What makes sense? Where's the pain trade? So this was what you call kind of that undercut, right? So it undercut the support of the 229 and then gave you that rally. That was in the pre-market. It undercut the 229, started to come back with the cues helping it, right? Support there. They looked to see, where can I buy it? Where can I buy? What's on support? Well, Apple's on support. Microsoft was also on support there. That looked pretty decent for me on Microsoft off of this trend line where you've tried to come down before and rejected that move. Now you're getting a nice strong move to 430s. Google, another one. We talked about it. Would it get to the trend line approach today? The 168. It's close there, right? It's already at 167. Looking prime time on Google there. Can we get the 170? It'll be on the radar for sure. NVIDIA, I talked about how I suck at trading that, but would it get back above the 141? It's at 143. That's a pretty strong move too.
Yeah, it's still cooking. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's coming right for this 144, right? So, I mean, hey, there you have it, right? Reversals. And what was this? A 9 EMA recovery, right? So holding the 9 EMA. Went to 9 EMA yesterday, undercut it for a hair on Wednesday. Now you're right back up to the highs. So strong action. And I talked about also take a look to see if ASML would start working its way back as a sign that tech could stay strong, because if semiconductor equipments are just going to go through the floor and just completely collapse, well, technology can't go up. But this was the one that was like weighing it down, because remember, this is the one that got the real destruction in it. And look how it's starting to come back. That's a good sign for technology, meaning that this move could have legs.
Oh yeah, tons of room.
So with that one being said, I wanted to take a look at Marvell. That looks good on the daily. I'm coming to you right now, Tim. This daily looks interesting.
Oh, wow.
For those kind of swing traders. Interesting look right there on Marvell. What you got, Tim? Ooh, I see your screen. I'm going to your screen.
I actually wanted to just...
You want to go? You want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, I've got the... I've got a few trailing stops going there on the dollar. I've got trailing stops on a whole bunch of these, so just to capture those little moves. But one thing I'd like to just touch back on was that whole question of let me see who that was from. Turd Trader, if you're still on. So for the halt rule, like we were saying, so there's two different sets of rules, right? Just to recap. One is if it's moved 8% either direction within the last 4 minutes, you can't open or add to your position, right? You can reduce your position. There's three rules, actually. One is separate. One is you need to hold your position for at least a minute, right? Before you can do any reducing trades for it. And then the halt rules are you can't open or add to your position if it's moved 8% in the last 4 minutes. That's a rolling window. So you can just look at the last four candles, say, hey, has it moved more than 8% there. And the other halt related rule is if it does halt, when it comes out of the halt, you can't add to your position until another minute has passed. So keep in mind but you can exit again. There's no restriction on exiting from halts. So there are some intersections of these things, right? Like if it halts and comes out of the halt right away, then I'm not sure what the minimum halt length is, but you could exit. You just want to make sure it has been a minute since you added, right? And then similarly, if you let's see, I think that's the main intersection there. But just keep in mind kind of all those things. And the restriction really is on most of the restrictions are related to adding to your position. If you you want to be looking for trade. The principle of it is you want to be looking for trades that can make that 11 price ticks, 11 cents per share move. And you want to look for things that you can hold more than a minute and still take profit, right? You don't want things that just like blip and then close out. But the most that'll happen generally, unless you're just hunting these all the time, is if those are invalid, like you just, if you get a few like 2 cents share move, you just don't get any profit from that. That's to discourage the HFT stuff. But other than that, you can be exiting a trade. If it goes bad on you, then as soon as the halt, as soon as you come out of the halt, feel free to close that trade out. That's not going to be an issue. Just don't be adding onto it until you see it settled and it's not just going to halt again a second later. That's the main thing. So hopefully that's a little bit clearer, but if not, feel free to throw it in the comments.
I don't know if it's my hazy eyes out there, guys, with UPX eyes, maybe giving me some goggles into these big movers, but drug is standing out to me. And you guys know I tried to trade this yesterday. I didn't do too bad. I was trying to get this on a little bit of a longer trade there. Pretty much got stopped out break even on it and looking to see if it can make that break towards like 52.50s here. I did see some volume start to come in it. And one of the things is whenever you see a big mover, right, you start to look at the last big movers. And this has been pretty sleepy for it to be tight up here, right? I'm super shocked. Tight.
I stopped watching it after the spike to 70 whatever, and it's holding.
Yeah, so and you guys know I shorted it on an overnight swing, which was a really good trade. So I'm looking at it here, and I can see the hourly candle, and the hourly looks pretty interesting. This hourly right here, especially, right? So like,
sorry, really quick, just because it's time sensitive, it does look like SPY maybe wilting a little bit here.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard for me because risk on stuff still seems really strong.
There's like one that I think could pull back a little bit further than others. Is maybe Tesla, right? Because it has such strength to the upside. At some point, you're gonna get some kind of pullback on that. But
Neo and Drug both look.
Now on the flip side, and it is on the flip side, it is steel, right? You could consider that sort of a risk off the consumer staples type thing. So that looks like it could be recovering there. I love that for my calls. I'm now short in my trade the pool account, but I'm not closing it or flipping it again just because I think intraday it might still be a bear flag. I think if it catches, it might be next week or it might be later in the day, but I think this attempt to recover, I don't see the strength in it. Neo, were you looking at the company fundamentals at all, or just at the chart? It looks like they have a solid tumor treatment. Yeah,
Neo's treating tumors.
Yeah,
NIO.
Yep. It's a
Neo or NIO. Yeah.
NIO, right? You were looking at Neogenomics.
So you guys are talking two names over here.
So they have it's a test actually, but it's they received, this was the 22nd. They received New York State approval for their solid tumor test. And what are they trading at right now anyway?
I think Steve is talking NIO and we're talking NEO. So
somebody called out Neogenomics earlier.
It was me. Anyway. Steve mentioned NIO, and then I said NEO.
All right.
Sounds like Neo, but yeah, Neo. This Neo, not that.
You have to call them NIO and NEO. Nio and Neo, and then
We're just
anyway,
conspiring. to confuse
Neogenomics.
you.
They're
So we're gonna
right
call it
around
the
13.
Matrix or Neo.
There we go.
The
Well, either
Matrix.
way, I
anyway,
think
Neo?
we're
all the
bottoming
analyst
out.
price targets. All right.
Genomics.
I'm just
play,
saying,
baby.
if we're saying strengthen this one, it looks like the news came out. Now we might have it be catching off that news, and all the analyst price targets are like 18, 19, 20. So that's a nice little positive as well. So thought I'd dig
Kinda
into
looks like
that
Neo,
one.
honestly. You got the double bottom on the hourly. I mean, I'm here for it. I'd like it if it was over these moving out a little more, but I could definitely see it. I don't know. This Neo move's just looking really real to me, right off the space here.
Hey,
I'm
you
a
know what we
fan.
should be doing though, actually, and this is actually a perfect day
That's
for it.
China, baby. I'll
see-
take it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What's up, Tim?
So let's look at this actually, for example, on Futu, right? So we're supposed to be talking about divergences a little bit today, right?
Yeah, let's
So
do
I'm
it.
gonna pull up all my indicators here.
I'll put you up, my friend.
And yeah. So what do you got? RSI and MACD. So RSI here is the orange, and I think the yellow is a trailing average here. And down here is the MACD. So these two. So one thing we can look for is we can, the thing in general, right? You look for a couple things. One is if you see divergences in the price and the indicator, right? So if you see here, oh, you know what? I shouldn't have taken my drawing toolbar off. So if you see here that the price is going up, right? But and obviously one thing we know, if the price is going up and the volume's going down, or vice versa, that can be something to look for. But also on these indicators, right? So if you've got the MFI in overbought territory and then it starts curling down, that might tell you, hey, this is fake, right? If you see the MACD start curling down, or especially if it crosses that zero line, that's something else. And then the other thing is between different indicators. So let me see if I can get a more interesting formation if I go out to a 12-minute or something. Yeah, so this is my pet thing. I've mentioned this before, but RSI, MFI, and I'm just going to make this one here a little bit bigger. Go away, stochastics. No one likes you. Yeah, so right here you've got the RSI. This is firmly in overbought territory here. But the MFI, which is the money flow, that's coming in now, that's way down in the oversold territory. So I like to look for something like this, which tells me, hey, look, this might actually, you might see to me, this, I'm still working out how these interplay, but to me, this indicates that you might see a technical reversal,
Short ion
but
Q.
that it's still strong because the money flow is oversold. So that's my pet. But yeah, if you look at different indicators and you see they're doing something different from the price action or from each other, then that's something key to look for. And right here, I notice like it's still going up on this awesome oscillator too. So you could be right, Kevin. Futu could be in a good place here, But I would watch out for a technical pullback here, just because on anything but the very shortest time frame, it is showing overbought on the RSI.
I'm seeing a potential SPY short. Not to change the subject, but just I'm keeping an eye on that. Let's see.
No, bring it up. Just bring up diverging indicators on the SPY. You gotta find a divergence to show us on the SPY.
Okay.
Oh boy. All right, so I will be honest. I am not a big divergence trader.
Here, I got one for us. Ion Q divergence, MACD crossover here.
Go away with your SPY.
No, but we can do it on the SPY, right? I mean, the SPY for me, so the way that I look at the SPY, right, is that I'd look at kind of like 15-minute, right? So 15-minute blow-offs, right? So where do we normally turn around? We normally turn around above 91. So above 91s, it's usually a pullback time. So we just hit right here just recently when we went to the high there, we hit our RSI 91.52. So around 91s, we have a tendency of getting pullbacks. You can look back in history to see if this is true. And that's why I look at when I think RSI, I want to think historical, right? Like how does it price to itself, not to others? So the same thing can be done with different names. Let's say Tesla, right? So Tesla on an hourly basis, when does it turn around? It turns around at like in the 90s, has a tendency of coming up to the 90. And you can see here, there's not many wicks past that, right? On the pink or the purple line there, right? So when it has a tendency of turning around, it's going to be when RSI gets above 90. And right here, we had an interesting kind of price action where the stock was going up, but the RSI was coming down. That's when you're having kind of a negative kind of, what's it called? It's
negative divergence, right?
Yeah, it's like no, there's a specific name for it, but pretty much
negative correlation.
It's not correlation. There's a technical name for it. You know my CMT life. I get a little bit particular, but so now I'm having IonQ come down here, guys. I'm about to add to it.
When you have a sec too, I found a good divergence on SPY. And
nice. Let's go to you. Let's keep it moving, guys. We'll talk a little bit more. We'll do a little recap. I am short IonQ, guys.
This is the Justy special where we got our 2-line TA here. On the top, you can see 1 line, and it is going up. So there's a, basically price tried to push up while that was happening. If you look at the RSI, it's been getting weaker, and you can start to see this kind of playing out here where it's whenever I see price going up, but the secondary indicators are lagging or actually showing relative weakness, that's where I start looking for a short. So I think I mentioned it here when it faked me out with this candle here, which would have ended up being a perfect short. But yeah, that's what I was kind of looking for. I was needing to see the RSI really make up some of this lost ground. Otherwise, I was thinking, it looks like we're just going to start curling there. So they don't have to be too complex. You can literally just boom, boom. Something's not right. One's going this way, one's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
Disturbance in the force.
I agree, guys. Just added to my IonQ 2,000 shares, 1601, guys.
And just now another little confluence. Really quick, my little risk off indicator, silver seems to be negatively correlated with Qs today. So I'm liking this. I'm long silver.
Cool. Keeping a close eye on this IonQ, about to be up 200.
Up here too.
Nice. So one thing here, if we want to look at GameStop, right? And this is a fun one to look at because I love trading this. I haven't touched it in a while. For a little while, I was just exclusively day trading it, but I love it because the apes will like to say like it's not a tradable stock. You can't day trade it. TA doesn't work on it, right? And the funny thing is, it's one of the more day tradable stocks out there. You just have to be willing to admit that the meme energy is coming in, right? DJT, another one, obviously things like Tesla and, just classic favorites. But, so here's another example where we start to see these divergences come into play. Let's see here. Just gonna take a second. Yeah, so right here we have the price is up. It's actually coming down.
Tim, not to interrupt, your screen is not showing.
Got you, man. I'll put you up right now. There you are.
Cool.
Yep. So we can see here, right? We had the price come up, kind of peak, come down, start to recover. But instead of actually recovering and pushing up again, what we see is the RSI, right? It kind of blips, but then it keeps heading down. And more importantly, the MACD, right? You see that it just, the leading MACD line, I'm not sure what we call it, the fast one or the exponential anyway, is actually, right? Like it's holding kind of steady here while this blips and then starts curling down even while the trailing one, the simple one, is kind of coming up behind. So this here tells you like, hey, look, it looks like it's recovering, but no, I don't really think it is, and the other thing is like, right, like, so that this is what I would look for here, right? Like MFI and RSI, right? So the RSI is up here, is showing over bought, right? So you look for a little bit of a reversal here, but the MFI is way down here. It's like a little bit oversold, right? So you might say, okay, I might expect a pullback here, but it's going to be more of a technical pullback, right? Like when you start seeing them move in conjunction, that's where you look for it. Now where it gets interesting, right? I'm zoomed way in. There's a 30-second chart, so it's hard to say here, but look at this. Now we got a strong divergence, right? Look at the orange, which is the RSI, and the green, which is MFI. I just do that because that way green is money flow. So, and now we start seeing things come back up. But if I go out to this 12-minute chart here, right? What you see here is you start seeing look at this. This is a strong
just got triggered out
here on the money flow. And it's just kind of weakness on this RSI. And then as we get out here, look at this. They're just sort of middling along here. So we're starting to see a push. And this is where I'm saying, if that meme energy comes in, we could just see buy, right? And then it could, that reflexivity, right? Like people start looking at the price going up, people start piling in, self-fulfilling prophecy. But what this shows to me is it's just kind of middling, puttering around and kind of drooping down. So, and I'm not seeing that change much. Let me go to a 6-minute or a 3-minute. I'm not seeing that change much, even with this little spike here. So to me, this is shortable.
Oh, you'd be short, Jimmy. Oh, you're saying for intraday here, right? Oh yeah, okay, got you.
I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not looking at the. I could look wider here, but
I'm starting to feel a little bullish, GME. I don't know. Maybe not right this very.
I mean,
second,
wherever I was when I drew these fibs, I have no idea where these fibs were that I drew. Let's see,
guys, I'm feeling risky right now.
What you got cooking, Mitch?
I got out of IonQ, but I'm about to go long link.
Link it up, brother. Link it up. Ooh, okay.
I'm looking at it, man.
Tight.
It just looks really nice down here. The risk to reward is what I'm looking at, right? That's the key here. The spread's a little wide, right? But
yeah, it's a perfect tie-in with Turd Trader's latest question, though, too. With a limited account, is trading large caps.
The turd is real.
A good idea.
I believe in the turd. Let's go.
So it's just a question, right? There's two things, right? One is just the risk. It all comes down to sizing, like so many things, right? So if you size your trades right, you can trade large caps, small caps, as long as you have, you can't trade Burke A in any of the trade the pool accounts, maybe the ultimate. But other than that, it's just the amount of shares related to the price. But you want to look at, for example, the ATR or something else. You want to look at how much do you expect the stock to move during that day or during the lifetime of that position, right? And that's where I got bit today, right? I'm used to seeing CL move and not factoring in, oh, hey, this is a bigger day for it, right? I was jumping in, putting on a pairs trade with coin and hood, and I didn't pay attention to the size of the move on hood relative to the others. But so it's not necessarily the allowed exposure, and it's not even necessarily the price of the stock. What you want to look at is the volatility of it, and you want to have some kind of thing in the back of your mind at least, or put in stops, even just in case there's some kind of dark swan, black swan move there. The other thing is, right, like the risk to reward or the trade-offs, right? If you're going in large caps and you can only buy 10 shares of something, and you're going to be lucky and it's something that moves real slow, right? It's a big stock, just slow mover, and you're going to be lucky if you can get those 10 ticks out of it, right? If you're tying up your entire account for the whole day on that one stock, then that's not the most efficient use of your capital necessarily. Now, if that's the highest confidence move in your watch list that day, and if you feel confident about that, you don't have much else going on, then yeah, like something you're confident in that uses all your capital is better than flailing around looking for more volatile things that you get bid on. But I would say it comes down to those two things, right? What's the risk reward of the trade in itself, right? And for that, you just size it. You look at how much you're willing to lose per day and on that particular trade. For that, you use the expected range of it, and then the other thing is just what's the most efficient use of your capital, and that's really down to your individual strategy. But yeah, you can trade large caps in the limited edition, you can get a decent few shares. even Nvidia, and a lot of these split too, right? So now you can trade Chipotle, now you can trade Nvidia, and you can even get a more than a few shares there. But
Yeah.
SMCI, that's a fun one.
There's tons of what you also want to be paying attention to, and this is an indicator to look into, is the ATR, right? The average true range of the stock. And that's going to give you a little bit more insight into share size and what you should be looking at between a stock, right? If the stock moves on average on a 15-minute, if it moves a couple of points, well, then you don't really need the biggest size, right? That's just the truth of the matter. So we'll see what happens here, guys. I'm taking a shot on the link. Yeah,
Yo, I do like the consolidation on the Bollinger Bands on the 1 minute for Link. It's getting tight, boy. That's gonna move nicely.
So here's the
your
setup.
GME.
Oh, GME.
Yeah, I'm getting DTFO on that, but I entered small, so I
GME.
can scale in a little bit.
I think we might be.
If it runs away with me, though, I'm gonna give up.
It's that type of day where we could have the memes run, man.
It just took yesterday's high, and SPY is falling, and we all know the GME SPY relationship. Give some space there. Neo's gonna pop here pretty soon.
Actually, there's an interesting. Yeah, you remember the days when it was all negative beta. So there's another divergence for you.
Look,
but that was just when everything had the all these funds were short GME, long other large caps, right? So if they got hit with margin calls on GME, they would sell some of their other things to make it up. But no, and a really interesting thing to look at is to look at whether GME is trading with or against the broader markets on that day, because the relationship will change day to day, and I find that fascinating.
Yeah, and you can do that right on the charts, right? You can just overlay the action, right? And if you wanted to, you can just overlay it, right? So that's one way that you guys can do that. I'd tell you guys to definitely check that out here, guys. All right, Link starting to get the move, guys. All right, so I have an ad situation here, guys, so you guys can see it how I set it up here. So that's the starter right there. You guys see it. What I'm looking for is it to go for like kind of the halt move. Maybe get me a fill right before it gets halted, and then out of the hole, I'll probably look to sell real quick, right? Look to try to maybe make 600 on this. We'll see what happens. The idea is the risk to return, right? So the risk on this is going to be closer towards like 130. I was thinking about risking towards the 420 spot there. Now I just want to see volume come in and just take this. So we're getting some sizing there. The first pop would be 5, like real quick 5. And then I want to see if it just goes jump into 530s. Like you saw here, look to the left. So you see how it bottomed out here, and where did it go to? In like one candle, it was up there in 5 minutes to 520s. So now 480s coming in here. Do they take 5? It's going to be interesting.
Yep. One thing, if you can pop it back over to me real quick, I'll show you.
My friend. I'll throw you up.
We've got the
boom.
I know we just got a couple minutes left, but this is another way you can look at these. And I know people ask about the scalper a lot, so I have pretty much everything enabled here. So we've got a bunch of things going on here, but these on the left up here, right? These bars, these 3 bars here, and then down. You know what? It's not showing my cursor, is it? Give me a second. I'll fix that. But those bars in the upper left and right of the scalper, those are impulse indicators. So those will show you if in order SPY, QQQ, or oh wait, no, it should be showing my. That's really weird. Why is it not showing my? I don't know why it's not capturing my cursor, because it should be. Anyway, I'll just call it out. So right there on the left hand side, under where it says GME there, the stock selector, you've got those blue bars, and then down at the bottom the red bars. So those are the impulse indicators for SPY, QQQ, and IWM. And so those will show you if it's going to make like a sudden little burst in one direction or the other, and those will build up with volume. Now the other thing is these let's see, the orange, pink, and teal lines, and I have to double check which is which. Those are also those indices, right? And then the thick blue lines and the bubbles are the stock I'm actually looking at, GME. So I can actually see overlaid right here, along with the trades and the order book of GME. I can actually see here what is going on with the market as a whole and with the trades on what I'm trading. So
I like how Mitch is casually up 15% in the past minute. That's
breathing,
cool.
breathing. This is when you do that that meditation breathe, right? Here we go, guys. Here we go. It could go into a halt here. Just hit 540s for a second there. Looking for the halt to come into play now. Need that 10% move, of course, but it's starting to get that push. It reloaded at 5 there. So at this point, I'm going to leave a stop in just a second here at the 480s. So slightly below in the red, but you got to protect yourself in a position like this, especially when I'm up 1,000 on the day, right? This is just icing on the cake if I can get it. So that's all I'm going to view this. And the idea here is don't give up the icing, right? And so that's the idea there. I don't drop it though. I just have it held here. Now back to 5, I let it go. Because now it's coming against me, right? Now I need to go into protection mode here. Because the spread could also get me here too. And you got to also understand that. So at this point, now I can just let it go. And now I got to be looking at what's reward, right? So 550s at 6. If we get back to the high, that's 977. That's 1,000 at the top, right? So the potential for reward is here. And it was only about, 130 in risk. And at this point, it's 25 in risk. It can get me out, and I can get back in. That's the one thing that I need to be working on more and more. So that's why I'm also leaving the stop right here. Because at this point, it's either go or no go, right? That's the way I view this stock. There it is. Just cuts me out. Yeah, just stop hunting there, right? And I can get back in at 5, right? On the recovery of 5. And then I would go in with very similar sizing, but you got to be careful with that down hit, right? Because then here is kind of a spread battle, and that's what's going on right now.
You can see one minute imbalance at 467 that I think is trying to iron out.
Real quick before I switch away though, I just wanted to throw in on the scalper here. So we got a lot of people asking about hotkeys too. So one thing also, like I just added on, right? I scaled in a little more, just one like up, down, left, right. Those keys there, I can just be in the scalper and I can change I click between these for the sizes, and then I can just use those arrow keys to add on, and I can toggle on here whether I want stop losses on them or not. But yeah, I can just move with the arrow keys. And so if I see some, if it looks like it'll pop here, I could just start trimming this position, or conversely, if it starts taking profit. So yeah, but I just saw it, like it looked like it was weakening, so I'm like, let me scale in one last thing. Boop, done. So back to you guys. I just wanted to highlight that because the scalper is pretty much all the things you want, like in one. I mean, they are all piled on each other. It's a lot, but it's a neat tool.
Back in, gonna risk 68. Back in, gonna risk 68. You guys literally see it on the screen. This is one thing that you don't get from many places, guys, is transparency like this, right? So a lot of places won't give you guys the outlook of where they're getting in, what their stop is. Why? Because they can get hunted, right? And things like that, right? And so I just went back in it. What I did was pretty much a time bomb there. So I was like, tick, 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 tick. All right, let's go one more time. And the key there is getting out, getting back in, but establishing risk. Right. And that's where I think I did it wrong earlier this week, that I want to do a little improvement on this trade. Even if I get hit for the 68, at least I'm starting to go back towards developing a processed approach and improvement. Right. That's where I want you guys to always understand that this is the biggest and most important thing as a trader, is to try to make improvements on your process. So in my case there, it was willing to get out and willing to get back in. Right. And so right there, I protected myself with a downside sweep. Now getting back in, still have to risk a little bit because now I'm getting back in, right? So there's always going to be a risk when you get back in, but it's a measured approach, right? And that's what's important there, not the added approach where I was just a second ago, which was 450 long, right? 2 times, almost two and a quarter times the size that I have now. So the idea here, it has to take out 550s. If it takes out 550s, I could add again, right? Because that's the continuation, and it was just a fake out on the downside. So we'll see what happens here. Stop placed at $465, $68. Does it take the 5 and take the 540s?
Just one thing. I agree with all
what you
that.
got, my friend?
Well said. I'm just seeing these two little tiny imbalances at 460 and 465. Pull that
Okay.
up a little bigger. These two little gaps.
What's
here
the meme there?
try to
Probably
iron out.
nothing.
Probably nothing. Nothing ever happens. But in case it does, I would be saying that like this what is this, a 10 moving average, something like that, close to your 9 EMA there, magic line. I think that it might do a little yeehaw one last here if it's going to. But honestly, like this looks really good, and you've got targets up here, imbalances like 660 that could just lead it on up.
Yeah.
I kind of dig this, dude. I think you're gonna get your move.
All right, guys, I got to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. I am going to set up here an ad at 540 here to see if maybe I can get a little bit of an ad here and then just keep it going, guys. I won't probably get to the 450 order, but I'm going to add like another 100 at 540 if it starts to take it and wants to go for a halt, right? Once I get that fill, though, stop loss moves to break even immediately. Right? That's what I want to keep working on, guys. But that's going to do it for us today. It's been a great one here, guys. Let's go ahead. We'll wrap it up, guys. I'll tell you what, we went a little overtime. So do me the favor, guys. If you guys enjoy Trade the Pool, enjoy traders like us showing you guys process approach and really trying to take a professional way into the market. Like always, we're here for education, not for financial advice, but here to support you guys in your journey, right? And you guys can learn from us with their strength or weakness. Hope you guys appreciate it. Hit those likes, hit the share button, and more Steve, they say. More Steve. I agree. I got no problem with my man. My man can come in here with those 15-minute candles and look sexy, baby.
Oh, I appreciate that, Mitch. It's been fun, guys. Thanks for having me on.
It's been fun, guys. We'll see you guys back like always. Smash the like. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. Stay safe this weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.